Ladies, gentlemen, welcome back to the fourth rendition of the PvMer Spotlight podcast. I am joined here today with not one, but two people. The one and only Mr. Kourend and his brother, Mr. Boris. Now, there is a lot of things that I can say about you two, but I'll let you guys introduce yourselves briefly instead. So, go on.
Oh no. Alright, well, I am Kourend. Yeah, I used to make plugins and have a client at one point with Boris, but now just kind of playing the game for fun and trying to improve where I can and just making plugins for the plugin hub.
Alright, so I'm Boris. I do things. I guess basically been amethyst locked for probably a good half a year outside of ToA, but other than that, I make some abominations, I think is the best way to word the plugins. But yeah. That's essentially it.
Abominations, you say? I guess we'll get into what you mean by abominations, but well, we got that brief introductions out the way, so we'll start with the first question, which is what the fuck am I reading this? Is Arby's a deli?
Okay, so I'll give you a little backstory about how this came about.
That's an age-old question right there.
Yeah. So our friend Supreme, shout out Supreme, he's from New York, New Jersey area, and he's like super all about delis and cheese. And I told him that, just jokingly, I was like, Arby's is a deli. And he got so mad about it, and I was like, well, they both have a meat slicer, so they're a deli. But then I started, he kept it going, so I just kept digging into it more and more. So I found the definition of a deli, and it's a store where people go to buy ready-to-eat items, such as cold-cut meats, sliced cheeses, sandwiches, breads, etc. And Arby's sells meat by the pound, deli meat specifically, at select locations, and they sell ready-to-eat sandwiches. So technically, it's a deli.
Facts add up. Science doesn't lie.
See, I'm not here to debate about food because I'm picky shit, so don't mind me. I'm just doing my thing.
Well, there's the science for you. We got the facts laid out.
Who was it that wanted that question answered? Was it Supreme or?
It most certainly was Supreme.
Okay, well, there you go, Supreme. I hope you enjoyed that one. Okay, so let's talk about your guys' introduction. How did you guys get into RuneScape, and how did you guys get into endgame PvM?
So for me specifically,
long time ago.
yeah. So back in middle school, for me, I guess, is when I got into, well, I guess at that point, RuneScape. Kind of played it off and on. Did like a little bit of Corp when Corp was released, and then I kind of just quit after Nex, just busy with real life things. And then I tore and detached my labrum in my hip in 2016, 2017-ish area. So I started playing around then, at that time, on an Iron Man. And I said, fuck that, and de-ironed. And then, how did I get into endgame PvM? I think I was in some, like, low combat level PvM clan, like kind of how most people start out. And they kind of taught me like the general idea of chambers, but it was all like masses. Like they only did like 10 plus man. They didn't want to like not include everybody. So it kind of was like, I've never been a big scale like team person. I've kind of been more like the solo to trio kind of scale. So I started learning solos, and then a couple buddies of mine told me to join FOH. So I did, and then just started learning more from people there, like Runecraft, and I don't think Soldier plays anymore, but him too. And then they took me along to ToB and taught me that, and then got my Inferno cape and was going to join Stud Unit, but then they were in Stud Unit and they were like, "Yo, it's closing. You should join Oblivion," and been in Oblivion since 2019.
My PvM was it was trial by fire. That's essentially how it went.
Oh yeah, I dragged him along to everything.
As soon as he learned something, it was just, "Or you're coming along, let's go." So I think the first chambers I ever did was like in Ivans, and I think it was an Addy crossbow. I had like
Blue D-Hide.
Yeah, blue D-Hide. Oh yeah, the good content. Getting like 600 points while trying as hard as I could. That good content, and then
Yeah, not a pure, just like shit.
no, it was a main account. It was a main account. It was just like, it was just classy, like 70, 80 combat. Tob was a little better, but I still was learning Tob with Ice Burst, so the crabs were, freeing right before they popped. So that was always a fun surprise. But
Oh no.
oh yeah. But yeah, no, I got suckered back into him because when we had stopped playing RS like 2 way back when, it was like 8-9 years. Then when he picked up old school again, he's like, "You should start playing old school again." I'm like, ah, crap. Fine, here we are since he dragged me back in.
And now I've had the opportunity to meet you guys because of that, so.
Oh yeah, I don't regret
Absolutely.
any of it. It's been a great time.
I think I'll go over how the fuck I met Kourend because I think the story behind it is just absolutely hilarious. So, many eons ago, okay, back when I was still getting into like trying to get better at CM5s, I think Jimmy mentioned a certain someone named Kourend. He's like, you should pod CM5s with him. I jokingly said this. I said, I will do it on one condition. I was gonna do it anyway, but I said I'll do it on one condition. And if he made a plugin where when bloat goes down, it's Windows Vista shutdown sound, and then when he goes up, it plays Windows Vista, startup ear rate, I would do it. Like a day or two later, he pings me. He's like this, and I'm like, oh, well, he did it, and I was in disbelief, and I was like, okay, I'm pod CM5 as soon as possible.
Crazy
Dude,
son of a
I
bitch,
kind of
he
had
did it.
like an idea that you were like willing to teach me anyways, but like I was like, man, this would be like a funny plugin to make.
Yeah, and I felt like it wasn't too hard to code either, but what do I know, right?
No,
I think
it
one of
really
the
wasn't
first-
that
It was
hard.
one of the
to code.
first ones. It was a nice test for learning how to do like sound files and everything. So
Mhm.
Yeah, I remember I looked at the code behind it back when I had no idea of how Java worked, and I'm like, the fuck am I reading? Now when I look at code,
well,
it makes more sense.
there's a couple of plugins that we've made where we look back at it after like a year or two, and we're just like, holy crap, what did we make?
oh god, there's some things I looked back at, and it's like, yeah, this is right. Oh hell, there was one with essentially it fired way too many times. So if you had too many items on the ground, it just started dropping to like 5 FPS. So and it was specifically in chambers because when you drop back in the old days when you dropped a bunch of vials on the ground or something, bunch of supplies, whatever, like all the Buchus, a ton in a stack, you'd hover over it, you just drop the 10 FPS. And it's like, oh no.
All right, well, I think we'll move on to the next question. So let's talk about the great old cheat client era. The client all the clients we used to know and love, like Steroid and Blue Light, and of course SpoonLite. Being around. And what were your initial thoughts of the cheat client era?
So for me specifically, I started on Conduit like around the same time pretty much everybody else did, right?
Yeah.
But I used OS Buddy like for a little bit, but only like the free version. I've never been big on like paying for plugins.
Yeah.
And then when I was learning Tob, somebody sent me Steroid and loved it. And then that was, do you remember the first like wave of, hey, stop using this? And it was just really a bluff.
Yeah.
Yeah, so at that point, Steroid was made private. So like, just for a couple of people, naturally, as we all know, everything gets leaked. If you send something to somebody, they'll send it to their friends, and then their friends, and then everybody has it. But so at that point, we switched to Blue Light, and what we thought was cool about Blue Light was we could add our own plugins to it as externals. So that's kind of how I started getting into, I guess, making plugins.
Yeah, it was kind of like because I had been doing Java in school, and I was like, oh, RuneScape plugins are in Java, so I was just looking at like just some test RuneLite clients as like anyone can do for like plugin hub plugins. So I had messed with that like a long time ago as like a proof of concept thing more than anything. And then when we found out about like Blue Light being able to make and add externals to it, we're like, okay, now we can actually like start doing things with it and not having to constantly like do some weird screwy things or whatever. So that was definitely
And it
Go
started
on.
off with just like simple taking existing like core plugins and just modifying them a little bit. So like
First thing.
ground,
Oh,
yeah, like
sorry.
ground markers, making it so that there's no outlines on the tile, so it's just kind of smooth if you have multiple in a row.
Yeah.
Ground markers, adding like groups to them. NPC highlight, adding more highlight options, stuff like that.
Yeah, I think the absolute first thing I ever did was just changing the name in the client in the top left, and then changing the icon. I think that was the absolute first thing.
Oh,
The
reflection?
first plugin. Yeah. What reflection ended up being able to do. And then when I first changed that, I was like, this is awesome. Look at all I could do. And that was like, this is the peak right here. But I think the first actual plugin ever made was like removing left click catch on bats in chambers. And so
Oh.
just like, screw those little guys.
Yeah,
I'm
fuck
annoyed.
them, bro. Fuck them.
Oh yeah.
When they made that shit legal, I was screaming, "It's fucking legal!" And then someone took that out of context, and I was like, "God fucking damn
Oh
it.
no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
God damn it!" You gotta watch out what you say on stream, Bill. They'll always take it out of context and make you look like a menace in society.
Shadow plays power.
Oh,
Shadow
I
plays
mean,
a demon.
even if you type something, somebody will take it out of context too. So
1000%. So, did you guys think that plugins clients around the time were fucking broken?
It was very quickly getting out of hand.
So-
It was
yeah. So like initially, right? So with Conduit, do you remember it had like for Shaman AOE?
Yeah,
it had that like
you had
red
AoE
X.
with the red X, yeah.
that was ahead
Yeah,
of its
and at
time.
that point, that was like
ahead
the
of its
only
time.
thing that was like technically like cheating, right? But like at that point, I was so new to the game that I probably didn't feel like it was cheating.
I didn't even consider it. I just saw red X and I'm like, this is great. Let's use it.
Yeah, and then oh, you know what? I used lizards between steroid and conduit as well too.
Oh, yeah.
So lizards was the one where I was like, oh, this is starting to get more not sketchy, but like more involved. And then steroid, I was kind of like, well, I think it was kind of the same thing with all clients, right? Where it became like, well, everybody's using it and they're not doing anything about it, so it must be okay.
Slowly but surely, the lines kind of started getting blurred. Things
It
started
got- yeah,
going
it
more
got worse and
gray.
worse.
Yeah. It just slowly because Jagex wasn't doing anything. Nobody had any fear of it, and it was kind of nobody was preventing it. So it was slowly approaching. Like everyone was getting more and more comfortable with more and more broken things.
Yeah.
So it
and
just kind of slowly kept going in that direction.
Yeah.
and because of that, it felt more justified to use it.
It felt like kind of, is peer pressure the term I want to use for it? Peer pressure?
Kinda,
Yeah.
a little bit.
for socket so specifically, right? Like
1000%, yeah, that.
if you're going for top times and you were raiding with somebody that was on, let's say, normal RuneLite, I've never been that type of person, but I know some people are like, well, I'm not potting with anybody that's not on client because they don't have socket.
Yeah.
So like it, I guess at that point it was peer pressure with that sort of thing, but I think it was mainly just for top.
There
that
were a
it was
few
kind of like a peer
plugins that were
pressure thing.
actually like required. Socket Set was probably the only like required to go faster. Everything else you could just, if you're good enough, like tick timers and things like that. If you're good enough, you don't need them. You're perfectly fine. You're just as good as someone on client.
Yeah.
But Socket Set was the one thing where it's like you can just full send, and you can't do that without.
It wasn't that because you can full send it now, but the issue was if you full sent it and you could see the maze, but somebody on your team couldn't, you ended up killing them.
Yeah, that's kind of what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, that was kind of why I went down that path, is because we were doing top speeds. And I remember how me and ToA were so against wanting to get into client, but eventually we said, fuck it, let's just use it for maze. And slowly but surely we started flicking on the switches for the other stuff. And then
You're like, well, I used this, so what if I use this one too? We're just a little bit. We're just gonna use this
It's
one.
almost like a sick curiosity, isn't it? Like figuring out like what all is available.
Yeah, I tried my hardest to push away from using any kind of timers for bosses like Bruzik, which I'm grateful for, because if I was dependent on that, I swear to God, the second clients were gone, my brain would have been mush.
Oh yeah.
Because I remember I played with AoE for a little bit at Shamans, and I turned it off. my brain was mush for like a couple of weeks, and then slowly but surely I regained the skill of like how to dodge it beforehand, because I didn't use it before. Then I used it, brain became mush, turn it off. It's just absolute shit show until after I got into it.
I think I did I remember doing one chambers after turning off AoEs, and I was just zoned out at shamans, and I'm just sitting there, and I get hit with 30, and I'm like, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, you actually have to dodge
mechanics. These have mechanics I have to deal with. Yeah, it also, not only for me actually playing the game, but it even got to a point more from like development side of people were like, well, if we can do this, like, well, what if we can also do this with plugins? So not only were the players like using more and more plugins, but it was also the developers are realizing, hey, we can make more and more stuff. It was getting more and more advanced where people could start making crazier and crazier things.
Mm-hmm. I think I'll move on to the next question, which is going to be asking about the beginning of the client we all once knew, SpoonLite. What made you guys want to make your own client, and what was the process like?
So it was when Blue Light shut down for the first time, and I was kind of like, well, do I just want to put my own plugins into my own like client on my IDE, or do we want to make something public for people? And so I talked to a few other plugin developers, and they were like, you should just go with the OPRS base. You don't have to do any patching. So you can just add your plugins and just call it a day. So that's what we did, is we just added pretty much everything that we made. The stuff that people liked from Blue Light, some stuff people liked from Steroid, and some stuff people liked from Dio onto SpoonLite. And then initially it was just maybe 3 to 5 people that we sent it to, but like I said earlier, you send that to 3 people, and then they send it to 3 people, and then those people send it to 3 people. It gets spread around pretty quick.
And then you had people beta testing like my sorry ass.
Yeah, the beta test area. I forgot about that. So, I think the best thing that came out of that was, so the people that helped me a lot in the Discord, like Rolks and Tatters, Soap, like Rolks is saying, so the exclamation point forms. We had a command that was exclamation point forms in the Discord, and it would send people to this bogus ass form that was asking like, do you like cats? What was your total level? What do you plan on doing with it? And then it was like, who was in Paris? And
what?
It was, dude, it was just stuff like that. And I looked at the channel because I archived it, and there was over 300 people that filled and submitted that form.
What the fuck?
Yeah.
Why?
Dude, it became like, well, I think before even the forms, we just kept telling everybody to PM Null. If you know Null, then you get the story. But we just had everybody, like, if they had any issues, just PM Null. So he probably got just as many PMs as we did per day, just from us sending them to him.
That sounds so fucking great. Holy fuck. No wonder this man was trying to fucking antagonize you guys over Twitter when I think I announced my guest.
Oh yeah.
There's nothing quite like it. Yeah, it most certainly got to a point. But no, it was good. It was good fun.
Yeah, so I mean that's how the SpoonLite came about. It was just most clients were shutting down, and we like to add our own plugins, but
the best
with
part
OPRS, I didn't want that, like, because a lot of people don't want to use OPRS, which naturally, right? Like, it had a bad reputation before, and that kind of left a bad taste in people's mouth. And I think before it had like FPS issues too.
There was a lot of lag. There's a lot of choppiness to it.
Yeah. So what I did is I literally just changed the icon, and I changed the title to say RuneLite, and that was enough.
Just made it look like RuneLite.
Yeah, I literally just made it look like RuneLite, and apparently that was enough for people to
kind of put their minds at ease.
Yeah, put their minds at ease, and yeah, like
because when Open did that huge update, they improved a lot of like performance and a lot of other things. They also made it to where everything was almost 1-to-1 with RuneLite. There were a few things that were like hidden in RuneLite that you couldn't do, but for the most part, everything was just 1-to-1, perfectly fine, so you could make RuneLite or open plugins.
Without like confliction.
Yeah, without connection. But yeah, and the main thing about making our own client as well was just the convenience of being able to update whenever we wanted. So it was, if we had a plugin that happened to be like, oh, this is a good idea, I could update the client 4 or 5 times within the span of 20 minutes because I messed up uploading some files. And didn't have to wait like a week or so to like push something, get it approved, whatever. It's like, whatever I want. Let's just send 6 updates over the course of a day. We're
to
good.
Give you an idea, so RuneLite Slayer plugin, I submitted a pull request probably 2.5 months ago, and that was literally just adding different types of highlighting to Slayer task targets. That still has not been looked at. Whereas when I made those changes on SpoonLite, it took me all of 5 minutes. So like that was the main reason for making our own client too, was because if we needed to make changes, we didn't have to wait on anybody to approve anything. We could just make the changes and it's good to go.
I guess that's fair. All right, I'll move on to the next question. Let me just shut my door real quick.
Yeah.
Fuck you, Joey. Sorry. Anyway, where was I? Let us talk about what is the process when it comes to making a plugin. Like, how do you get the idea? How long does it take? Etc. Etc.
So as far as like how long it
depending on.
Oh yeah, it depends based on me or Bor. So for me, it's I do the content. I figure out what kind of QOL things could be added. I didn't try to ever do anything like super broken. Like for example, Cox, I refused to put tick counters on Ulm. So many people requested that, and I was like, no, just learn the content. I'm not doing that. Or tick timers for like the Inferno. I was like, no, I drew my hard lines where I could. But for me, it was like Cox editions, for example, on the plugin hub, like small things like hotkey swap smash on crabs, or the prayer enhance regen cycle, stuff like that, where it's not really that crazy, but it's just more of a QOL thing. Or like left click leaving the CC. If you've done solo CM, then you think that's probably pretty nice.
It's fucking nice. Oh yeah.
Yeah, but for me, it's actually doing the content. For Boris,
that's
it's
a whole different
I wrote
story.
it down, and there's 3 steps. 1, get hammered. 2, other Boris arrives. 3, abomination created.
That's a tried and true 3-step process right there. It's
What?
If you're wondering how Disco on the Go exists, or like Disco Inferno or anything like that, you best believe it was it had some help. That was not just naturally comes along. There's some things there where like some people have a good suggestion, we'd make it, or you're doing the content, you make it, and then there's some things that I don't know, sudden burst of inspiration and some things happen. But yeah, I think a lot of Cursed was it had some help in order to be created.
Well, that's how
Boris.
Rave started. We'll get into that later.
Yeah.
But that was other Boris's doing.
Yep.
Oh boy. We'll get into that soon. I promise.
Yeah, as far as how long it takes, that really depends on the plugin itself. Because, like I said, with the Slayer thing, that takes all of 2 minutes to make those changes.
Yeah.
Whereas something like Cox editions, whenever you had to test anything in Ulm, you have to get to Ulm
testing,
and then do the testing there. And then if it doesn't work, then you gotta, basically restart and get to Ulm again, especially if you don't have an alt. Or let's say it's something for like final phase of Ulm spawning.
Yeah.
So
you only get one shot.
So you can only do that one time. That's only a one-shot thing. So then you got to spend X amount of time getting to that point again. Or like TOB, if you made anything for Verzik, you'd have to spectate, which most of the time it was 416, so you can get a good idea of how long that took.
Yes.
To get there. and then you'd have to start all over again and find a new team to test Verzik again.
The good old 20 minutes to get to Zarthus and they wipe.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. And it also depends on how many features people want too. So like, with Cox editions, it was. I don't want to ruffle any feathers with people, but I feel like people that mainly do chambers requested an exponentially less amount of plugins than people that did TOB.
I wonder why.
Yeah. Yeah, like exponentially less. So I would say Spoon Top is probably the longest plugin.
Oh, it took me, I think, 3 months to get the initial version of it up. Because I had to make it, and then that was when hard mode came out. And so I also had to make all of the hard mode changes to it as well. So it was nothing but spectating 416 for probably 3 months
Oh my god.
or so. I didn't do a single hard mode top for like probably a solid almost year after it came out because I just sat there spectating it the entire time.
That was actually kind of when my opinion started to change too about plugins, is when hard mode Tab came out and nobody had plugins. And I thought that was like one of the most fun times I've had in old school, was when everybody did not have plugins, and I feel like that's kind of when I started to change my view.
Bro, everyone was getting shit on. I loved it.
Yeah, exactly. Like nobody, or I don't want to say nobody, but a lot of people were having issues tick eating the death ball or tanking Verzik.
I still remember that week because that was when I was banned off of Twitch because of the hot tub incident.
The liquid you consume that's usually fruity.
Yeah.
That comment?
Well,
yeah.
I fucking hate that so, but anyway. I remember because that's still one of my most viewed videos on my channel, was that Trio, me, Noob Type, and Toy Sent. But man, people were struggling doing that shit. It was crazy.
Yeah, it was great, and I feel like there's something fun about struggling with friends.
There's a slight masochism to it.
Yeah, it's a healthy amount of masochism.
It shows growth.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh yeah. It's part of the fun part about it. It's you struggle enough times, but that one time you succeed, oh boy, is it good.
That's always nice to. Sometimes I do look back at some of my old CM VODs, and I'm just sitting there like, what the fuck am I doing? And then like I see a VOD now, I'm like, wow, like, times have changed so much.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I feel like that's kind of like, I guess, the people I've tried to surround myself with in old school is like the people that, one, want to have fun, and two, want to constantly improve, because it's not fun PvMing with people when they're not trying to do anything to improve. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I 100% agree. Because I love bringing like new people, but whenever I'm bringing new people, I want them to improve, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing too.
Well, the nicest part of bringing new people is when you do something with like someone new, like say you take them to like Chambers or something, and then a week later you do another Chambers with them, and you just see how much better they've gotten. Like that's kind of the thing you want to see, is someone who really does want to actually get better, not kind of just like going through the motions, just kind of winging it. Like every once in a while, you've done enough raids, you have those couple I'm going through the motions raids. We're sending some monies every once in a while.
Yeah.
But as a whole, yeah.
And I'm not the biggest fan of like learner raids, so to speak. But if somebody actually genuinely shows that they want to improve, I'll gladly take them. You know?
Yeah, I know what you mean. I always love taking like new people. The always felt like the one piece of content's been the easiest to bring new people along. I've been enjoying that so much.
That is the nice thing of ToA.
Yeah.
That's the only really downside Top Hat is it does have a bit steeper learning curve to you. You're not wanting to take like a bunch of learners in. Like you're taking like one learner and you're doing like a 4 or 5 man where you're like, I know we're not going to lose the kill count. But ToA has been really nice, especially with the as much as you can change all the difficulty, the invocations, everything. You have so much scalability and diversity to how good people are or how confident people are to do whatever to teach people.
Oh yeah.
You could also even do a low invocation and just throw up, like people who need to learn Insanity. You could just do a 50 invocation Insanity if you really wanted to, and that's just purely just to practice it.
Yeah, so speaking of learners too, Noel keeps hitting me up on when we're going to teach him CMs.
Oh, you hear that? I think my dog's calling me on the fax machine. I gotta go.
Yeah, every time I tell him I'm walking my fish.
The goldfish needs to be walked. He's got to stretch his legs.
One of these days, we need to do the CM5 and have Boris tug along the ride as well. What could possibly go wrong?
Nothing could possibly go wrong.
No. Just, somebody clip that too. Like,
I don't know what you mean, right? Nothing would ever go wrong.
I'm holding my word. I'm serious. Who's gonna be the 5th, though, is the question. Wait, what about Irene? Let's get Irene as the 5th.
Let's go.
There you go. Irene and Noel in the same raid.
Oh, dude, he's gonna hate us, dude. Noel is gonna hate us. Fuck it. Let's do it.
Oh, God. I would pay to see that.
Some of the most memorable times of good old client development was testing Socket BA with Null.
Oh my God,
was that a great time?
This dude, we got to Queen, and he fell asleep at Queen because we were doing this at like 9 o'clock at night testing, so that's like 5 in the morning for him. He fell asleep. And we kept shouting at him in voice for like 3-4 minutes. And then he woke up and he was like pissed that we were yelling at him. Like we had the audacity to wake him up.
Well, so the best part was he was collector, so we were all doing the waves. We finish everything, so we're like, okay, Queen's about to spawn. I look, Null's still standing at the starting spot. I'm like, Null, you there? Yellow eggs are on the floor. He's still not moving. We're like, no, wait.
I think that was actually with
hitting
Manthi.
the desk. Oh yeah, that was
Manthi and Dongu.
Yeah, just started hitting the desk or anything, just trying to like get his attention.
God.
The best part was though, we got all the eggs. We gave him the eggs. He fell asleep again.
Oh yeah.
He fell asleep at the cannon, so we were just sitting there for like another minute.
I see.
Oh, good times.
It sounds like chaos, and I love it.
Oh, that's the best part.
Alright.
Yeah, other Boris emulates the Joker.
Speaking of other Boris, you know what next? What question is next, right?
Yup.
Let's talk about all the beautiful and disturbing meme plugins that have been created on the client, aka Rave, aka Cursed, aka Windows Vista Bloat. The list goes on.
All right, you see, there's certain art to absolutely ruining your eyeballs. There's an art, there's a tag, and a lot of it is horribly offensive to your sight. So actually probably what technically started all of it was Rave Bloodhands.
Yeah,
it was Rave Bloodhands. That was the first Rave thing to technically ever exist, I think. And that was the first thing I ever saw that I was like, wait, if we can Rave, like, if we can make this, what else can I make?
Oh, no.
And so, I think, what were some of the first things? I think the absolute first thing I ever made, extreme fishing. That was the first thing I ever made.
Yeah.
So,
What?
That plugin was never released.
It was never released. It was the first proof of concept, if you will. Extreme fishing was... It was just a config in the fishing plugin, all the way snuck at the bottom. And since the fishing spots are NPCs, it highlighted them tile, and just epilepsy just flashed a tile indicator. So it was just going, just constantly flashing colors. And it was every fishing spot. So if you're at, like, Otto's Grotto or Fishing Guild, there's just tons of spots just going.
God.
And then that graduated into NPC epilepsy and Cursed, which then eventually culminated into Disco on the Go and Disco Inferno.
Oh, trust me, I knew about Disco on the Go because that was one of my redeems on stream, and I had to take it down once, the great SpoonLite died, but hopefully we get Cursed in the plugin hub soon, right?
I'm working on it. Working on it. I think it's about there. I'm going to try to get it out as quickly as I can. It has been enhanced too, to where its radius is no longer that casual like 5 or 10, No. It's up to 50, so that is 101 wide grid right there.
Yeah, and I'm not going to spoil anything else, but it is probably... Well, okay, so I was a firefighter for 4 years. I've seen a lot of horrible things, but that, I think, is probably... The things he's added to that is the worst thing I've ever seen. So I'm not going to spoil anything.
The best part
see
is
it
there's
when
only
on the
more
plugin
to be
hub.
added
I
with
don't know,
time.
bro, because okay, maybe I shouldn't say this because I feel like this is gonna like give some PTSD to some of the people on Draco Cord. But are you sure about that? Because you've spoken about dick demons and shit before, right?
Oh, yeah. Oh, should I tell the Dick Demon story?
Maybe we'll save that for the end. We'll save the dick demons for the end.
The dick demons come later.
Dick demons come later. Holy shit.
Oh, God.
But yeah, I think technically the only Inferno plugin we ever really made was Disco Inferno.
Yeah.
So, and that was a good janky one because if you logged out in the Inferno, like behind the north pillar, when you logged back in, the disco grid was shifted, so it was actually slightly off-centered. So the south side of the Inferno didn't have tiles on it, but the north side did. So the tiles actually started running off into Zuck. So you actually couldn't see Zuck or the shield.
Oh my god. That's messed up, man.
So if you logged out, it was significantly harder to play.
And so here's the thing too, is a lot of people thought it was Boris for every single rave config, but I was the one that started adding it into the later ones, and then when people were like, man, this is horrible, they just blamed Boris, and I just kind of sat back like, yes.
Wow, that's messed up, dude. You mean other Boris, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, other Boris.
The cumulative, the collective Boris.
I think one of my favorite meme plugins was the one for Next, where it's like if you have all the Next cheat plugins turned on, it just fucking rolls a random rat jam on your screen.
Didn't I just name it Y? I think I just named it Y.
well, it started off with Socket Player Status Extended, which a lot of people have been asking me to add that to Cox Editions specifically. Like if somebody in your party isn't attacking a Mystic with a salve on, it'll just spam in
someone's not
in the
overloaded
chat.
while
If somebody's not
something.
overloaded, like they're attacking at 99 strength, then it just spams the chat box, stuff like that. But I hated that plugin, just because I don't know why I hated it, I guess, but it I didn't want to add it to SpoonLite originally to all the socket plugins.
Yeah.
And people kept asking about it, specifically for TOB. And so I was like, it'd be really funny. Let's just add a plugin called Socket Player Status Extended. So the same name, but when you turn it on, it just fills your entire client with a giant rat jam emote. And so I think that week we probably got the most pings in Discord of what the fuck is this?
Oh yeah. So many people were like, what the hell is this? Well, that was the best part as well, because it was a good testing practice too, because I had never messed with putting something over the entire client or going through a GIF. So that was fantastic. The best part is that is going to be included in Cursed, and it somehow got faster because somehow I screwed it up, so now it's less frames. It used to be 35, now it's 21. So it's almost double the speed.
Oh no.
Mm-hmm. The best part is you can still technically play with it. Overlays show up on it, but the actual game screen doesn't. So you can click through it and do things, but best of luck.
All I'm gonna say is that whenever that cursed thing comes out, you already know, but another meme redeem stream is coming up.
Oh, you gotta have the disco.
That's gonna be one of them, but we're gonna make it where, because I can set it up where voice attack and streamer.bot can press keys on my keyboard when people redeem shit. I can have it where, because of plugin presets being, you can turn on and turn off stuff with hotkeys. They can put a rat jam randomly on my screen while I'm just doing stuff.
I could
set that up.
I could even just add hotkeys to it.
Oh no.
I have an idea.
Plugin presets got you covered as well, but if you want to do it,
Boris also
fine. I'll just add
added
intermittent. I'll just
something.
add intermittent disco on the go, where it just randomly goes off for like 5 or 6 seconds.
He also added something that might be pretty funny for the stream too. Is he added something that he called you know what? I'll just save that one. But
Okay.
there is one thing for Disco on the Go that he added separately, and it's called grooving. And every animation you do, including just your idle animation, is replaced with what's that emote?
You're just perma-locked in flare trousers. Like you'll
Yeah, I
do an
remember that.
attack.
That was a thing
Yeah.
back then, because I would have the
You'll-
beaches in my
you'll do
hand and
an
just run around like an idiot. It looked great.
Mhm. You'll do an attack. So like when you're like attacking and things like that, you'll still like do the attack, but then as soon as the attack like hits, you just immediately go back into the flared trousers. While you're
Yeah.
running, it kind of screws up, so it just repeatedly puts your hand in the air over and over again.
Hey Boris. So somebody on stream just I
Yeah, I
remember when I
see that.
first died. Yeah. Was that you?
Oh, because in Cursed, I made by default. So Cursed on the client era always had a default feature. The first default feature was if you died, it ACB screeched you.
Oh,
So there were a
God.
lot of people when we released that who were they
Weren't
pinged us.
happy.
Were like, "What the fuck is happening with my ears?"
What about the
was just-
metronome?
Well, oh yeah,
Oh.
it wasn't even the metronome. It wasn't even the
Oh, no.
metronome. It was just by default. It just played one when you died.
Well,
The metronome was another.
The metronome actually has a story behind it too. It was oh god, who asked for Pompeo?
Oh yes. I think it
Pompeo
might
and
have
Garp, I think, asked for a metronome that was some K-pop song.
It was like some K-pop song
yeah,
or something. I don't know.
Some K-pop song.
Yeah, I don't know.
K-pop.
And yeah,
Don't
yeah,
ask us.
some K-pop song. So I was like, you know, out of moral principle, I cannot make this. So instead, we added 2 configs to it. One played the ACB screech every game tick. The other did every client tick.
50 times a second, just bam, going. They were just kind of merged, and it was just going.
I see.
Yeah, no. Oh yeah, no. And we just released it saying like, oh yeah, here's your metronome. That's why it was. I think it was just called metronome at first.
I see.
Yeah.
And we're like, here you go. We made the metronome. Enjoy.
What's Clippy? Someone said fuck Clippy. in
Okay,
all
so
caps.
Clippy was the second by default feature. Eventually enough people complained about the ACB screech, so I removed it from default.
Huh?
So I replaced it with Clippy, and Clippy is whenever you die, it just puts this over your character in the center of your screen. Whenever you die, it just puts the like the Microsoft Word
Oh.
Clippy. It just puts it.
Let me bring that up. Let me show people what they're talking about real quick.
Yeah,
So
I
let
was
me-
about to say, it just puts a Clippy on your screen
let me-
that
I just
gives
need-
you some helpful advice.
Alright, let me show the Clippy. So Control Alt 2. Yeah. So this is for those of you who don't know, it looks like you are dying. Would you like to try a living instead? There we go.
So yeah, that just the best part about that, I didn't even think about it when I made it, but it was ruining people's like if they had the screenshots where it would automatically upload the Discords.
Mm-hmm.
Whenever people died and they uploaded it to a Discord automatically, the Clippy was included in it. So people
What
were
the
getting
fuck?
like Clippy pictures just sent to their Discords whenever they died. It's
Oh
good stuff.
my.
Yeah, that was on by default. If you had Cursed on, that was happening. There's nothing you could do about it.
That is. I have no words. That is
Mhm.
absolutely monstrous. Okay, let me scroll up a bit. Is there anything else we want to make a note of in regards to meme plugins, or shall we move on?
I think that was pretty much it.
I think that was mostly.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, we all know and loved cheat clients. And then Jagex finally put their boot down and said, okay, you know, we've said nothing for X amount of months. We said this a while ago. Well, now we're actually putting our foot down. So if we find you using cheat clients, you're going to spank your asses hard. You're copping bans. And people actually cop bans left and right. And eventually people stop playing on cheat clients. So what was your thoughts on the end of SpoonLite and the other clients?
So when they made the announcement, I was like, well, for me personally, I was kind of like, thank God. but also too kind of skeptical at the same time because, as we know, Jagex has a history of saying they're going to take action on something and then not doing shit.
Yeah.
So I was like, please, for love of God, actually do what you're going to say this time. And I kind of had a feeling they did because normally with the other stuff, they didn't give you like a grace period. Whereas this, they specifically mentioned, stop using it by this day or else you're going to start copying bans.
Sounded
Yeah.
more like an ultimatum than a
Than
hey
a-
guys, don't use plugins. It's against TOS. You shouldn't do that.
Yeah.
So it had a bit more oomph behind it.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
sounded more legit. And this was also too around the same time where people started to request more broken stuff that I just really did not want to add, like left click casting barrage on reds at Maiden, where I was like, holy shit, it's gotten to this point, kind of, you know? So I didn't want to make anything like that. And it got to the point too where we were focusing so much on trying to make our plugins better that we weren't really playing that much. So I wasn't really having fun when I logged in, because when I logged in, people were like, hey, add this or make this. And I was like, well,
Every
shit,
time you
it's kind of ruining my fun a little
every time you
bit.
played, also all you could see, rather than just playing and having fun, it was like you were just seeing what you could make plugin wise. It was like rather than like just doing tab and thinking I'm having a good time, it's like, well, hang on, what if I actually made a plugin that did this for me as well, or this? So you're kind of like getting to that. You can't really turn that like mindset off.
Yeah.
hmm And so I guess for me, it was, please, for love of God, follow through with what you're saying. Because I think we can all agree it was not for the better of the game to have those types of plugins like one click, which we never made, but like the one click stuff for people training agility where you could set, I think somebody else made an auto clicker plugin.
Of course.
You could have a one click plugin and then have an auto clicking plugin and just basically just not be at your computer for 6 hours because of Neverlog as well, training skills almost to EHP. So like it got to a point where it was like, this is way too far. So I think it was more of like, I guess, optimism for me, but also to being skeptical just because of their history.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, as well, will I say, like, is it kind of sad that you kind of miss it at times? Yes, there are. I mean, it put a lot of work in it, a lot of time. There are times, yes, but as a whole, much better for the game, and that they actually followed through with it. Like, as soon as they announced it, like, our Discord, we were like, hey,
yeah.
we were like, we're not doing anything. If this happens, like, we recommend everybody don't play the client. We're like, play on RuneLite. This doesn't sound like a bluff, so we were basically like, hey, don't play on it, like don't do it, like be safe, play on RuneLite. This sounds like the real deal this time.
Yeah.
And as soon as they made the announcement, it was like, yeah, we just played on RuneLite. We even hopped off.
Yeah,
We're
we
like,
didn't
yeah,
even
we're
use our own client,
no
and we've
point
just been
risking
using
it.
RuneLite since. Like, and when we did hop to RuneLite after the announcement, we were like, this. And we'll talk more about this later, but it basically had everything that we had. So it just was a smooth transition.
Yeah, it was definitely a good. They actually picked a very good time to do it,
100%.
and probably right before everything just kind of like went extremely nuts. Like, if clients and everything were around with ToA release, yeah, there would have been so much
bad.
stuff.
It would have been really bad. I can already see like fucking AoE squares for the lightning bombs.
Yep.
Yeah, there would have been puzzle solvers day one. There would have been AoE indicators, tick timers. It would have, yeah.
Yeah, people would have just snapped a finger, had it solved.
Had a field
Exactly.
day. I would have had rave Zebek waves. It would have been doomed.
Oh no, not the
Oh,
waves.
Jesus.
Jesus.
Dude, I could have made like a little like runway strip for like the open area on the waves and just rave the entire path. damn, we missed out on a lot.
Probably for the better. Probably
All
for the better.
For the
Jagex,
better, though.
give us clients back. I need more rave.
No.
No. We don't do that, other Boris. Go
All
back.
right, fine.
Speaking of which, I think it'll be nice to transition to the next question then, which is, how do you feel about, clients are gone, but now we have RuneLite, including all these super broken plugins that people have been asking for a long time, like Entity Hider, which was big for Inferno speedrunners. They finally included that, and there's been so many crazy additions to RuneLite to the point where it's basically a legal cheat client that everyone has their hands on. So how do you guys feel about that?
I would say the nice part about there was a nice part to client bans to where RuneLite before was very
they
and
used
selective.
to ban. Yeah, they used to ban people too if they used to dig around, and like if you were involved in cheat clients whatsoever, they used to ban you from RuneLite's Discord. It's not the case anymore. So they kind of accepted okay, clients are banned. We're going to get a lot more people, so we're probably going to get some requests for plugins that aren't allowed, but we're also going to get help from people that were, actually making, I guess, decent plugins and within the rules.
Yeah, the nice thing is they opened up a lot more to allowing to basically just taking more opinions on people making like plugin hub plugins. So they opened up more to people just being more friendly to like not immediately just like disregarding people or cutting people out. So it is nice that how RuneLite reacted with the client bans as well, to where now from the aspect purely of it's a lot more friendly to anyone trying to put plugins on it. There's a lot more stuff that people are willing to look at and work with. So I would say overall, it's a lot nicer from that standpoint of there's a lot more people willing to and a lot more people looking at adding plugins. So a lot more stuff can be added for just not even for like broken stuff, just a lot more things can be added. Just fun stuff people like to add, any sort of plugin people want to add. A lot more stuff is willing to be added now.
And kind of piggybacking off of that too, like I would say 95%-ish of what we had on SpoonLite is on RuneLite in some way or another.
Yeah.
Yeah,
so,
in a much more toned down, like
custom
basic
swapper?
Yeah, custom swapper.
swapper.
That's a perfect example of one too. Custom swapper. Radius markers basically covers X amount of plugins that involves highlighting something a different color.
Yeah.
I mean, you got visual metronome that replaces tick timers. It's just you got to set it up manually. You got, instead of Dio's tick debug, you got Tatter's. I forgot what it's called, tick tracker maybe. But you have all these different plugins that were on cheat clients, but people thought that they were like so illegal and you should get banned for using them when they followed Jagex's rules. It's just the client they were on wasn't RuneLite.
Yeah.
So I think there's kind of a hypocrisy there.
100%, yeah.
I would say Socket was the biggest one of like, this plugin is bad just by merit of existing, because Socket only existed on cheat clients. So everyone just immediately looked at Socket plugins as bad because on cheat client. But then you look at all the party plugins now, like we've got Party Defense on there, and there's a lot of other party plugins. They're now perfectly okay. And it's kind of nice that because it's on RuneLite, people are okay with it. Like, as kind of dumb as it is, people are just okay with it now because it is on the official, as opposed to, oh, it's on a third-party client, it's cheating, it's bad. No.
Mm-hmm. Like Spawn Predictor, I guess, would be a good example. Of
Yeah.
like,
I'll still
oh my
stand
god,
by
this is the most broken thing, and then it's on RuneLite, and those people that were saying it's the most broken thing are one of the first ones to download it. Like,
I mean, all the entity hider, all the entity
the
hider
Nilo
stuff.
one
all the
especially.
biggest-
The one that hides Nilos on XP drops in a party.
oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Death indicators.
now
Yeah,
legal.
that's also on the plugin hub. Cox editions by us, that's on the plugin hub as well. And then pretty much everything that was Socket is now party. Except for
there were definitely a few
Socket
Socket
Soap.
things. That
Yeah, the
were-
maze is gone. But
Yes, as you said, Socket Soap was definitely. It was a bit broke.
Yeah,
it
but,
was-
but also
it was
too,
broken
there's
for
stuff
sure.
on the plugin hub that's also like, why is this a thing? Like the Capri puzzle.
I'll still stand by saying the most broken plugin hub plugin in existence is Quest Helper. However, it is the best plugin in existence. I will stand by saying that. It is
People hate quests.
it completely just solves the quest for you, but it is so good. God bless those people, because I would not want to code all of those quests myself.
Yeah, so
So
Rock said,
there's some things like that are extremely broken, but there's a lot of lines drawn to where, like, for quests and things like that, it is extremely nice, and it's like Clue Solver. It completely solves clues for you, but it's extreme quality of life that just makes it feel so much better.
People
And
don't want to like open stuff just to solve clues.
Dude, I remember the days of doing clues back in RS2, where I'd open up the wiki and it's like, all right, I gotta do a coordinate clue. I gotta open up the wiki coordinate page. I gotta search for the coordinate.
Oh god.
Yeah, it was. Oh yeah.
Like the chat is saying too, I don't see the difference between the soap maze and the Kefri puzzle plugin either. It's the only difference I can logically think of is that the Kefri puzzle technically isn't a boss.
Yeah.
So it doesn't follow under that extra. I'm just kind of paraphrasing here, but it's like adds additional visual or audio indicators for a boss. And it specifically says a boss, and that is the only like stipulation there that I can possibly think of to where it allows the Kefri puzzle, but not the soap puzzle. But also too, somebody at Jagex, I forgot who, told Lemon Duck not to add like a tick timer or anything to the Aka light puzzle. So like they're even, it's both RuneLite and Jagex that are kind of hit or miss with what's allowed.
Yeah, there is the one, I would say, one downside to clients is that there is still a gray area to plugins, to where there are some arbitrary lines drawn to where they're like, okay, Kefri puzzle, it's not technically PvM, so it's okay, but there kind of isn't anything you can really do, because like it's just kind of their guidelines. If it happens to be okay with the guidelines, then it's an okay plugin. And I feel like there's a lot of things that are more so just kind of, rather than actual hard guidelines, is more so, do they think this is okay? There's a little bit of that added
sometimes that feels like they blindfold themselves, take a dart, and just throw it at a board and figure out if it's allowed or not.
Sticks or goes.
Yeah, out of everything in Cox editions, the prayer enhanced regen cycle, the phase highlight, phase highlight, technically that goes off of stuff that's already said to you, I guess, in the chat box for like what phase it is. So I just highlight it off of that. That wasn't questioned. Pretty much nothing was questioned in Cox editions except one thing, and it was side highlight, which is literally just a single tile in the center of that appears when starts spawning and disappears when it's done spawning.
So like when like the shadow
pops up on the side. There's just a temporary 1x1 for the shadow to indicate what side it's on, which is basically no different than NPC indicators. That is the only thing that they questioned if it was legal.
Which makes no sense when for Eons you can just NPC indicate the head and it does the exact same thing.
Yeah,
exactly.
It was basically just so that you didn't have to actually highlight the head, because some people didn't like the highlight on the head throughout the entire phase. So they were like, all right, just have it at the start so I know what side it's going up easier, rather than like trying to look for that arbitrary, like, oh, it's slightly darker right before it pops up.
Yeah, and it gives you no advantage.
Yeah.
But I think the main thing with the RuneLite stuff is most of what's on cheat clients is on RuneLite, and that goes to show you that just because it was a cheat client doesn't mean it was like all these one-click and botting and all these super illegal plugins. Most of it, I would say, was just QOL. And it was just easier for people that wanted to make plugins to add it to a cheat client where they could do it same day rather than waiting a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks,
same day shipping,
month.
Amazon Express. Just send it. Yeah, no, it was definitely a nice, and the thing is, also with people being a lot more open and friendly to it now, is it's kind of cut out the well, you're cheating. So like a lot of people don't have that like fighting with like a lot of PvM in the future from now is going to be a lot healthier too, because there's not going to be people being like, oh well, these people use cheat plugins, cheat clients for their records. So now like, oh, they're invalidated because whatever Reddit warriors, the good old stuff. So I feel like now it's just going to be a lot healthier that it's, hey, everyone's on RuneLite, everyone's on an equal playing field, that kind of deal.
Yeah, I agree. So what are your thoughts in regards to like the current state of plugins on RuneLite? Do you think that things are okay as they are right now? Should we go back in time to like maybe the early days of clients when there wasn't so many plugins, or are you guys like okay with how things are right now?
So, I guess for me, I would personally like to see it go back to pretty much just like object markers, tile indicators, boost information, and ground markers, I guess. I don't know if I said that already, but basically just those basic stuff, right? Because a lot of the stuff, I'm not gonna say which plugins because there's so many of them on the plugin hub, but it takes away part of the thinking, which I think makes the game fun.
That's fair.
Yeah,
But
I kind of have a thought. Oh, sorry. Go on.
Yeah, I don't see them getting rid of plugins anytime soon, specifically with the plugin hub. They would have to basically finish their Steam client or native client and just be like, hey, this is the only one you're allowed to use. And then RuneLite would have to shut down.
Yeah, I have a lot of how I've always kind of looked at clients is one of the things I kind of at first it was always like, yeah, like plugins and everything like that. I have liked all of the wild customization you can do with clients, and that's shocking. I know. I have a lot of fun with the crazy, just fun stuff you can do. Like Model Replacer was a great plugin, and it was so much fun just to mess around with what plugin. Like the Sciench was horrible, but it was so much fun to make.
Oh god, you should probably explain what the Sciench is.
Oh, it was I basically took a tench, a golden tench, and stretched it to the form of a scythe. And so I replaced the scythe with it. So you basically just ended up here. There's a picture I got of it. But yeah, so essentially it's a tench stretched extremely long, and then its neck just goes over like the scythe blade. And so there were some really dumb things you could do with Model Replacer. And it was some of the most fun I had, because I'd never really messed with Blender before. Like, the most I had done with Blender is I tried to mod, like, some Skyrim weapons way back in early high school. That was it. So, yeah, the things like, there was, like, a black armor I was working on. There was a magma blowpipe. There was the
old Slayer helms, too. There's the Zuck Crystal, which, shout out Hootie. That looked phenomenal. Hootie helped us recolor Crystal Armor to be the same color scheme as the Zuck helm.
Oh.
Yeah, so it was all matching. It looked phenomenal. Yeah, but that was I think the week before.
Yeah, there was literally the week before client. Oh yeah, there was the nib champas too. I replaced chin champas with a nibbler in your hand instead. There was the gator hammer. There was the dark Tivo.
I remember those pictures.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't there
so there was a lot of really.
Huh? Wasn't like boss on like a stick or something?
Oh yeah, hey, I got that too. So the fun part of that one was Baza has so much detail that it deleted half your model. So you just had no legs. There was this Elder Mole.
I guess I'll continue to open
Hold on. This as well.
Oh, don't show that.
I'm not showing that, bro.
Show that.
That's I don't know how age appropriate that is.
Yeah, don't show that one.
Yeah, I'll remove that one.
Did I show the hammer? Hold on, did I show the hammer?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah, we showed the hammer. We're not gonna show.
But yeah, there was just a lot of.
Okay, deleted that one. Thank God. It was like one with an extended dong.
Yeah, it was Arva, but the skirt was just pulled out like it was a dong.
Yeah. What was his last one?
This is a Crystal Halberd, I think. I don't know. It was Was it the corrupt halberd? I don't even remember. I think it was the corrupt halberd that I just made extra long. But so that was some of the most fun I had, was just messing with Blender models to just see what horrible things I could make.
Yeah.
Bro, that's always the cool shit with you, dude. I don't know, man.
The creative side of plugins was always so much fun. Just being able to kind of it's almost kind of like modding for Skyrim. It's existed for so long because people have just been able to make whatever they want for it, and it makes a lot more fun and versatility and creativeness with just being able to, hey, what if I just put this in the game just because I can? Like,
Yeah.
I know McNeil, I think he made like a, what was it? It was like a light machine gun or something as well that he replaced the blowpipe with. And so there was some crazy things.
It was like oh god, what did he replace it with? I think he replaced it with like an M240 or something like that.
Yeah, I think it was an M240. Yeah, he also made the giant ham joint too.
Oh yeah.
Goodness gracious.
But I think the main thing people used that for was on BlueLite they had it where you could replace the new Slayer helm models with the old ones, which I feel like a lot of people prefer.
Yeah, the creator of BlueLite had made it, and he originally put the old Slayer helms. Then there was the penguin, the no anime helmet.
Oh yes, the no anime helmet. I remember that.
I think
like that's the part aside of plugins that I don't want them to take away. Like that kind of fun, it adds some character. It adds some fun.
Yeah, the creativity. Where as long as it doesn't make the content, I guess, like brain dead, and as long as it doesn't like take away the skill, I guess, of PvM, like that, or skilling, that I feel like is when it starts to cross the line, is when it does everything for you, like the Kefri puzzle. But I think the main thing I miss from clients is the, how do I word this properly? Seeing how low people's IQ can actually be in terms of the stuff they say. Like, dude, like some of these people, I swear, they have like the reading comprehension of like a 4th grader. Like
Do we
talk
about the horror stories now?
Oh yes, absolutely.
Right. We'll talk about plugin horror stories right now. This is the next question, guys.
Oh god, yes, Swirly, find that sprite thing. There was a dude who, just a goon, and enough people, which I didn't think they were going to, were trying to add our own repo to our client, which had the repo already added into it by default. So you could remove plugins you didn't want, add plugins you wanted. And I got tired of people like adding these plugins, and then it would add old versions of it. So because it wouldn't update because it had 2 repos. And oh, there it is. And I made, what's the default size for RuneLite? It's like 7 something by like 500. I made this pop-up window 900 by 400. and so if they tried to add our own repo to it, it would pop this up over their client.
I guess I'll show this on stream. I see. It's not very nice of you to.
It's a bit unfriendly.
My favorite too was when people would say specifically, I eventually had to bundle plugins together, like the socket plugins, because people would say, "Hey, socket defense," which is now party defense tracker on the plugin hub. Hey, this is crashing my client, and I'm like, okay, well, show me what external plugins you have. They'd take a picture, they would send it to me, and I'd be like, dude, you don't have the fucking socket plugin. The thing this plugin requires. So because they didn't have socket, it was just crashing their client. And it wasn't just one person that did that. I would estimate I probably got, in the course of clients existing, 100 to 150 PMs from different people saying that socket plugins were crashing their client, did not have socket installed. That would be like if you had a party plugin from the plugin hub and then you didn't have party installed somehow.
I will say the best, probably, and it basically became a weekly ritual of every Wednesday or Thursday, whenever old school updated, we'd have to update our client.
Yep.
But of course, time-wise, it worked out absolutely perfectly to where they update at about 6 a.m. for us-ish. I leave to go to work at 6 a.m. And then he would have class or something, so we wouldn't be able to update for a good few hours. And it was basically weekly to where we just get people constantly like saying in the Discord, like, hey, client's not working, because when it's not updated, some weird things kind of happen where like GE values don't show up on ground items and things like that.
Or sometimes, depending on the update, you might not even be able to load the client.
Yeah, you might not be able to load the client, but it was weekly to where it was basically everyone on Wednesday or Thursday would just end up saying like help, and then everyone else would just say help. There'd just be a string of helps through the Discord.
Oh,
That's how the help came about.
I eventually just took a screenshot one time of
Yeah, Boris would
just-
answer people and explain the reason for it and be
And
like,
then
hey, we're not home until he
then I
gets
just
home from work or I get home from my nursing classes. And then he eventually just took a screenshot, and then he would just keep taking a screenshot of everybody saying, yep, there you go. He would take a screenshot of what he said every single time. So every time somebody said it, the picture would get bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger.
But yeah, it was every single week like clockwork. He gets somebody asking about like, hey, why is the client like, why is something going on weird? It's like, read up above. It's like, why is the client going weird? Read up above. Why is the client going weird?
Read up above.
Yeah, it could be like 3 people above them that said something, and they just could not read. That's why I said, like, I swear to God, half the people had like the reading comprehension of a 4th grader, and so like I think it was Hootie that asked, "Am I ever surprised by the lack of reading comprehension of people?" Honestly, I was at first, but then after that, no, not really, not really. I sometimes I would wake up to 50 plus PMs of people asking about a plugin or for help, and at that point, I had Discord notifications on my phone, and I didn't have my phone on silent. So, and of course, people that play RuneScape, everybody has different time zones. So I'd be getting these texts at like 2, 3 in the morning, and I'm just like, holy fuck, I'm losing sleep over this. So I had to silence my phone. But then I'd wake up and I'd look at my Discord notifications, like, you have 60 new messages. And I'm like, what the fuck just happened? And half the time it wouldn't even be anything broken. It's just they wouldn't read through. And I'm going to shout out Giggles there in the chat. Giggles was notorious for this, of not looking through the config to figure out whether or not he could turn something on to solve the issue he was having. And it was just stuff like that. So eventually it got to the point where I was like, yeah, this is not worth my time to answer, not worth my time. Okay, this is reasonable, answer that. Sometimes it was just, friends saying hi mixed in there, but
Help.
Yeah, help. Sometimes it was just help.
Well, eventually it somehow also, I don't know how it happened, but there was a tag in our Discord, there was a role where it was like disabled crowd, and it was everybody would just ping that role. Well, because one time it was because of Null. One time Null said something about like, you're all disabled, and I think I made the role.
Let's not go there. Let's not go there.
Okay,
that's not good. That's not good. That's not good.
Sorry, but it was the morning people would just ping constantly whenever something happened. So on top of like helps, it would just be pinged constantly.
Oh, and it was good morning at any time of the day.
Oh yeah, it was always good morning too.
I remember. I do remember seeing that, but yeah, no bueno.
I'm trying to think if there's anything else really like that crazy with the plugin support. Null had a couple of moments where, oh, you know what? Null probably has more stories. You can get that from him later. But every time, like, and I know Steroid did the same thing. When I'm in school, I don't have a job. Okay, so I would tell people I'm at work or I'm at school, depending on if I didn't want to answer the question. And then I would tell them to PM Noel because I forgot what title I gave him. It was like head of support or something like that.
I think it was something like that, yeah.
And so like everybody would oh, here, hold on, here's another sure, we would tell people to PM Null for it was battle passes. That's what it was. We told people that they had to apply to the SpoonLite battle pass, and that Null was the gatekeeper of that. So that Null would have to give them a battle pass in order for them to get access to the client.
Hey, I'm interested in premium steroid plugins. Could I get some more info or list of features? Smiley face. Afka.
Oh, yes. Hold on. Actually, there's another person. Let me,
Oh my god.
Oh, yeah, we had a whole flow chart, too. Milan made a
yeah,
whole
that's true. We did
chart.
have a flow chart.
Flow chart?
Yeah.
What?
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, we had a whole flow chart for tech support. And anytime someone would have an issue that sounded like a generic issue, it was like, yeah, post. I think we had hashtag. Yeah, we had exclamation mark flow chart, and it would just
Oh my god,
put the image of the flow chart.
So this dude still has this as his bio, so this actually works out perfect. But this is a PM I got like 2 weeks after the client ban.
Okay, let me just open these images real quick. And then, let me open the other one. I'm 100% sure someone is going to send them a DM after this. Please, for
Yeah, I was gonna say you don't need to add.
You know, you can just read it. You can just read it.
I'm gonna read it. So, hi. Do you have RuneLite modified with the plugins? I would be interested in buying it. I don't. I just use regular RuneLite. I need an Inferno prayer helper in RuneLite. Then his status says selling Inferno capes, and he literally has like one of a, you know those like cape sellers, they always have a fucking Inferno cape type like image in their background or something. Yeah, this guy's literally got like an anime girl with a fucking Inferno cape on the back or some shit.
Yup.
That is literally like, that is prime I am selling capes. They have something with Inferno capes in their fucking image every fucking time. And then some of them, they'll always do like, they'll put like a period or some little character to get their names on the top of a list as well.
Yup.
Yep.
Yeah, it's people like that PM me. Like I've gotten so many PMs of like, oh, what crazy shit do you run in your private client? I'm like, first off, who's saying I have a private client? Because I do not. I just do regular RuneLite. The only time I open IntelliJ is when I'm fixing a plugin hub plugin, and that is it. But like for some reason, I'm sure probably, you know, the people over at Steroid and BlueLite also probably get PMs too of people like, hey, what crazy shit do you have that I can buy? Like, nothing. Like we don't do that.
Nothing.
Oh,
Have a good day.
Rolix actually just sent me a few things too. That was an April Fool's thing.
Oh yeah.
What is that?
It's a
that
fake.
was-
Oh,
Bitcoin
I see. Okay, yeah, hold on.
Yeah, and then I don't think this one is stream friendly, but that was a command that was sent to null whenever you did $null.
So you basically turned everyone's client into a Bitcoin miner.
And then when you clicked that link, it would take you to like a Rick Roll video on YouTube.
What the fuck is this?
Don't show that. But that when you did $null in the SpoonLite Discord, it would PM null. Actually, I don't know if I turned that off, but that might still be a command. But it used to PM null that picture every time you would do $null.
Bro, this is literally an image of a femboy, and it's like, I showed you my dick, answer me. What the fuck am I looking at?
And, dude, it would delete the message too, so null was never able to see who sent it. So I think he had to eventually,
What the fuck?
I think he had to block Dinobot.
the bot.
No, I feel bad for Noel. He's a good friend, but like, man, he got fucked with so hard for, God, since SpoonLite was a thing.
Wait, do I have permission? Do I have permission to do some meme stuff to Null or no?
Yeah, absolutely.
You always have permission.
Okay, let me get his ID.
He's a
How do I
good
get his
sport.
ID? How do I get his ID? Oh crap! Hold on, streamer mode's on. Let me disable it real quick. Okay, so for those of you guys who have Discord, if you share a server with this person, please send them a DM and don't send anything bad. All I'm asking you is to send him help. Okay, help, nothing else. If you send anything else, you suck. All right, like you actually suck and swallow. Go send him help. That is it. All right.
Oh no.
Anyway.
Oh no.
Dude, I feel like he loves it. He'll verbally say that he hates it, but then in PMs he'll tell me it's hilarious. So like, personally, I think he's kind of a masochist. But like you can see, there was people that are good at the game that still PM Null. Like that last pick I sent you.
Vasatas sent him. What is this? I have gear check. Can you help me? What does EHB mean? What? What the?
Dude, eventually it just became a thing of like,
Oh my
just
gosh.
say Boris does this shit to Null all the time, and he hates it. He uses a word that's so close to being correct, but it's not. It's so close in the sense of sounding similar, but it's
Like
not the right
instead
word.
of inconsistent, incontinent, or something like that, just slightly off. And it does wonders.
Okay. Anyway.
Yep.
Anything else we need to speak about in regards to the support horror stories, aka Null DMs getting blown up?
I think we would be here way too long if we did, to be honest with you.
Okay, I think we summarized it pretty well done. Okay, the next question is, do you have SpoonLite user login details because Manfi keeps forgetting his password?
I believe it was Pogfrog73. But all seriousness, we never added anything that tracked any information from people. No IP addresses, no login, no password.
We didn't even track the total. We didn't even track the total users.
Yeah, we didn't even track the total users.
Nothing.
I mean, that was never really a big, I don't want to say concern, but like a big topic of importance for us. Like it was just, if you want to use it, sure. If not, there's plenty of other clients. Like I was never like, use this client only. Use whatever client you like.
We didn't have any metrics.
They pretty much all had the same stuff.
Okay.
Yeah, there were no metrics, no information, no how many people were using it, how many unique users were using it. No, nothing. None of that.
So what I'm hearing is Manfi's screwed.
Yeah,
Manfi is screwed.
In the future, if he changes his password, yes.
And if he deletes his settings.properties again.
If he deletes his settings again, yeah.
Oh my god, I am probably one of the greatest supervillains of mankind's history, because when I made my ToA plugin video, I think in that there was a section that spoke about the quote-unquote broken puzzle solver thing you could do, and I told people that they could, all they'd have to do is just put this in new settings.properties and do this, and this, and they were good. But, yeah, some people lost their settings.properties file. I was actually one of them when I was doing it.
No.
I somehow had a backup, so we were good, but not everyone had backups. I'm pretty sure in the video I said make a backup. Like, make sure you make a backup. I stressed it. It was just when I first made the post in Discord, I wasn't as stressful about it. I think I mentioned it, but I wasn't stressful about it. So a bunch of people, no monkey included, lost his settings. A friend of mine named Bamf, not the Iron Bamf, by the way. This is a completely different Bamf. He lives in Canada from that province, so that's why his name's that. But he lost it. A bunch of people lost it, and I'm just sitting there like, oh my god, what have I done? I
am a firm believer in
this kind of actually is a good example of what people do as well. And it was kind of funnier when clients were a thing, but people will ask stuff like that in the RuneLite Discord, But people used to do that with their settings.properties and would post it when clearly using cheat plugins. So they would look at it and be like, yo, what is this TOB plugin you have? What is this socket plugin you have?
I
So there's just
see.
people blatantly asking about cheat clients or blatantly like doing something that would delete their settings.properties
Yeah.
like the Caprice puzzle.
As you just said, chat, yeah, posting your like steroids log or something in RuneLite and just be like, hey, what are these plugins you got here?
Bro, there was a tweet from when they actually did the bans, and there was a
Are you talking about the McNeil one?
yes, there was
I
a guy.
met that guy today.
Yeah.
I met that guy today in Discord.
So there was someone that went straight to Twitter and they were like, I don't know why I just got banned for 2 weeks. You know, I'm playing the game on RuneLite. I'm not doing anything cheat related. I'm a good gamer. Next thing we know, McNeil's like, hey, dumbass, here's your logs. You're on steroid. Hello? Hello? You see me? Yeah, he legit got exposed by McNeil, and my God, that tweet popped off. It was the greatest thing I've ever seen. It was legit. What was that picture of the guy that's like back up, he's got the cigarette or the cigar? I can't remember what it is off the top of my head.
Oh, pack watch?
Yo, that guy got pack watched so hard. He actually got pack watched so hard.
Well, so I was talking to him today in Discord, and he thought it was hilarious too. He said he thought McNeil's like clapback was one of the funniest things he's ever seen.
Yeah, forever, our boy Crayons will be a meme forever.
Oh God, there was another good tweet that McNeil just has these like really good. Oh yeah, they just posted it, but there's another good one too. Like some Iron Man said he had max strength, and it was something so ridiculously
like a torso
far
and some other
from
stuff.
max strength. You know the tweet I'm talking about?
Which one?
There was an Ultimate Iron Man, I think, or maybe an Iron Man, that said like, "Oh, I've got max strength."
Yeah, they just posted it.
And McNeil was like, "You should change your name to Jarl Can't Count" or something like that.
Oh, yeah, okay, I can't show that.
Yeah,
I understand now. Oof.
Oh yeah, because I see
yeah,
the word in there
well,
that you can't. Okay.
Move on from that.
Oh God.
All right, so I think we. Oh, sorry.
So somebody asked if other clients like Open were tracking stats like that. Only one I know was Steroid, the only one, but it wasn't tracking anything. I know a lot of people thought it was stuff that was sketchy. It wasn't. Whenever you connected a socket, it shows your IP. So like it was literally just basically that, and then it was tracking how many drops were gotten on Steroid. Like I think specifically how many Ellie's were dropped on
oh yeah.
by people on Steroid. But it didn't say by who. It literally just said if an Ellie was dropped. So it wasn't anything that he could use to hack anybody.
It was just purely
like,
how many items were gotten on steroids.
Yeah, it was just interesting metrics. That's it.
Okay. Fair enough. So we're probably gonna start moving away a little bit more from clients. This is going to be a question that's more geared toward Kourend because Kourend is an endgame PvMer in the clan Oblivion PvM.
Well,
So-
I'm not an endgame PvMer. I see how it is.
I mean, you can if you want to
kidding.
answer this, you can also answer it too. So
Oh,
this is
God.
an open-ended question. But either way, I want to speak to Kourend about this. So you're someone who's a grandmaster. You're someone who's grinded out a lot of Oblivion Diaries. So my question is, how have those goals, or just like going for those, improved you as a PvMer?
So I think specifically with the Oblivion Diary, I think that made me a better PvMer than going for like the GM test. The GM tests, a lot of them you can kind of cheese, and a lot of the times really aren't that bad. There's some that are a little bit more RNG than others, but especially with new gear, it shouldn't be that bad. But it definitely is a good stepping stone for people to improve. But as far as the Oblivion Diary, I think that is the thing that made me become a better PvM. And I still have. I mean, I think they're going to change the times soon, but I have
Soon
two
enough.
left. I have the sub 53 Inferno and Corrupt Gauntlet, which is a little bit of PTSD. But
I thought you had CG done.
no,
He never ended up getting
I
it.
had 50 HP left on Hunlift, and this happened 3 or 4 times. 50 HP. I had usually between 30 and 40 seconds, somewhere in there, to do 50 to, let's say, 75 HP to get the sub 515. Either died after 515 or got like 531. So I don't even have the 530 just because I just did not hit.
This is his kryptonite.
It is my
Gauntlet
crypt.
will
I
break
hate
him.
Corrupt Gauntlet with a fucking passion. I think that is the dumbest Oblivion diary ever because it's just you could send all these good preps and then the boss can just dick you.
I'll say this now. This is why I hate Speedrun Gauntlet so much. I personally like Money Gauntlet. I'm still in disbelief that
Money Gauntlet is fun.
That one run I sent on stream, a Money Gauntlet run, got me like a 501, and it would have been a sub 5 if I didn't troll. But yeah, speedrunning Gauntlet, you need to be a different breed to do that. Shout out to Smurk, by the way. Smurk is actually insane to be doing some of the shit that he does. It is actually insane. You need mental fortitude.
And the thing too is like, I feel like what I guess annoyed me, I guess, in Gauntlet too is like I would get like a 2 to like 210 prep, and then it would be like a 4-minute boss of just not hitting and just redemptioning at the end there, and I would still die. And then I see a couple other people, not gonna name any names, but they'd get like a 245 prep and then get a 215 boss and still get the time.
Yep.
And I'm just like, how the fuck? Like, where is this RNG?
They're just lucky.
You know?
They're just lucky.
Yeah, I mean,
luckier.
it comes to a point where you have to send enough attempts to get it, but I honestly don't really give a shit enough to go for that Corrupt Gauntlet time right now. I'm sure at some point I will, but not right now.
One day will return.
Not right now.
One day he'll get pulled back.
That was how I felt about so when I was really close, because long ago I was really close to Diary. I think all I had left was literally it was Fight Caves and Inferno. I think like this was before they made the changes. I think those are actually wait that and Solo Cox. Yeah, so all those three. So Solo Cox, Inferno, Fight Caves, and then they made the changes. And I was like, well, we're back to square one. So then I had to like go to every piece of content and get like better times outside of CMs. CMs was the only one I was finding except Solo. Solo I did have to go back. But did Top again, did Chambers again, did CG again. And I was like, I was presented with Fight Caves once more. I did it. And it wasn't that bad. I felt like I got really lucky with it, to be honest. I just popped off. But Inferno was an on and off grind because I did that for 8 months.
I'm not that good at the Inferno. Like I think my PB is like before Missouri was 53:45 or something like that, somewhere around there, give or take 5 seconds. But I feel like if you send Infernos, it's going to make you better. Just learning how to do that, and I feel like also too with solo CM. And doing speedrun top, it's going to just make you objectively better doing those types of content, right? Because you're going to improve your switches, you're going to improve your prayer flicking, you're just going to improve all around in PvM. It's going to help you get in like tick rhythms, you know?
Yeah.
But I mean, as far as the Grandmaster, I mean, both my main and my alt have the Zuck helmet. It's not. It's just like maxing. It's a time commitment, really.
It's not as big of a time commitment as maxing because maxing can take
no, not nearly. But it is more of a time commitment than it is a. I guess like a skill.
The hog. Grind. Oh god.
It's the hog. Yeah, that's my next thing is.
Hog.
I have a Zerker that I think I'm a masochist, but I'm trying to complete as many CA tasks as I can on a Zerker. I don't know how many are possible, but a lot of them are probable.
Yeah, I mean, I spoke to Blade a couple of times about it, and I think it was Nightmare that seemed like a brick because Inferno seems a bit more doable now with Missouri. But Nightmare, especially with that Fang nerf, I wasn't sure if Fang was the play or since you have access to Inquisitor, using Ink and Mace is the play, but maybe with Shadow might make it doable, but I have no clue. I have no clue.
Yeah, I'm not too sure, and it also depends on what they add for ToA too. You know.
Oh yeah, too. You don't
At
know
the
what
end
they
of the
add.
day, I would say at the end of the day, I feel like you have to say that it's possible if you get enough RNG, but is the enough RNG probable? Is the thing I would say for the Zerker.
Mm-hmm. Like the God Wars ones, I think are probably going to be rough. Like the 30 kill
Yeah.
trip in a private instance
Mhm.
at Arma.
Or
Like,
if
the
you
Kree
get
one might
lucky
be
enough
bad,
and you
yeah.
go hard enough, you can get it. But it's a matter of what's the probability of that. If it's going to take you
Mhm.
potentially 200, 300 hours to get one task,
That is
it's
like,
not really feasible.
I don't know. I feel like that's something you're gonna have to like get the greatest minds of Summit to maybe like come together and be like, okay, how are we gonna do this on a Zerker to get 30 kills done?
Assemble the council, get them
Get
ready.
the Summit
And I
Council
feel like
in.
Boys in
I
the
feel like-
lab.
I feel like somebody is going to get a Verzik helmet, so the Master CAs on a Zerker. It's just will somebody get the Grandmaster? You know.
I don't know, but if you manage to do it, that'll be a pretty pog tweet.
Yeah, well, so I'm just slowly grinding certain things on the hog. Like the 500 kit is done, so now it's need to get the hard mode top kits eventually. Not looking forward to that, and then just the CAs, I
Oh
guess.
goodness.
Oh, and then the
Hog's gonna do
metamorphic.
it.
I got to get the metamorphic dust too on the hog.
Might be time to hit up Draco to assemble some teams.
Oh God, Draco top.
Let's go.
Dude, I still got to clip those and send those to you. Those are some good.
Oh,
Those are
God.
some premium molding clips.
Yeah, it sucks because apparently you didn't get the claw one. And apparently, Jagex
No,
is
I
those
didn't.
waves.
So I think I thought somebody else did. I thought Draco did, but
Draco said he did.
yeah.
Hmm.
Can you do 30 kill armor trip? I honestly don't know on a Zerker because I think Arma attacks faster, doesn't it?
3 ticks, I think. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. I think it's 3 ticks. I'm sure it's 3 ticks, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think it was Arma and Sarah that attack faster, right? The 50 kill trip should be easy
Sarah's
for
2
Sarah.
tick.
Yeah, Sarah's easy. I mean, you can just range mage flick the entire thing and take no damage.
Oh, Exact did it on stream, so it's completely ridiculous, huh?
Uh,
Hmm.
So yeah, it's probably not reasonable. It might just be a pray for good RNG and blood barrage type of thing.
Maybe. Who knows?
The Bandos one should be easy, and same with the Zami one.
Shadow.
Yeah.
Sarah one shouldn't be that off. I don't think, at least.
No, Sarah should be easy. Sarah should be a free one. No, next duo. I forgot that exists too.
That one I think is doable, but you might have to do a couple things to negate the amount of damage that you take.
Yeah.
You might have to like pretty much sit in the back and try to force tank on the other player for most of it and just pray for good RNG. So it's doable, but you might need to do a couple tries for sure.
Yeah. And then I forgot who I heard this from, but I'm pretty sure somebody said a Zerker got a really good solo CM time. But I think with the new gear it should be pretty free as long as you get past
they got old diary 34 minutes, sub 34 minutes on a Zerker.
That's what it was. Yeah,
Crazy.
So I think with the new gear it should be a lot easier. The problem is my Zerker has like 70 thieving, 70 wood cutting, and like 74 mining or something like that. And then also too, you got to get past Tecton, so your hammers have to land. And depending on your attack, that could be pretty low.
Well, seeing you got a 34-minute run, you probably have some leeway in a lot of rooms.
Yeah, I would assume so.
So.
And with the shadow now too, right?
Which is disgusting on stuff like Best Portal. Absolutely disgusting.
Oh yeah. Well, and Vanguard should be faster too, so then you should take less damage on the Zerker.
Yeah, especially with the Fang. Fang makes it so nice.
Oh yeah, I pretty much have to do Fang Ulm, don't I? So I can't do Dragon Hunter Lance.
I would guess so, yeah. It's basically like a budget Fang.
So it'd have to be 3-1.
3-1, or you could do World Fang, but I'm not sure how realistic that is with Zerker defense. You have a lot
With
of blue.
45 defense. I mean, ink is already paper, right? But
Yeah, but
having lower defense on top of that.
who knows? Maybe it's not too bad, but like I said, sub 34 done, easily doable.
Yeah. Boris, what about your endgame PvM adventures?
It's basically just kind of, I mean, did a ton of ToA, and then I've just been kind of messing with having fun with things, and I have a 1 defense that I kind of do some questionable, stupid PvM on here and there, but for the most part, it was just, well, I was having fun with, for some reason, entry mode ToA speedrunning was enjoyable.
You guys
I
got
don't
picked out
know
of that.
why it was. I have no idea why it was, but it was actually a lot of fun. I mean, just one-shotting an Aka Shadow and a Claw, it hits different. But
at one point you had record for it, right? Which is
I had a
about
record
as
for a good while.
relevant as
I had a
having,
good record in a while, but somebody just came and just destroyed it. So
yeah. Well, that's kind of like saying that you have record in the majors, right? Or
yeah,
record
exactly.
in
I
the
got
Rangers.
records and I got record thieving, dude. That's basically the equivalent of it. But no. So right now, basically, just kind of for the most part, is a lot of ToA. Not doing too much Tob or Chambers, but at some point I'll do the combat diaries. I have the medium done, so that's something.
And then you got to get your infernal cape on the back.
Oh,
too.
God, the 1 defense infernal cape.
luck.
Yeah, eventually. Eventually, that required me to go to the Inferno again, and that's asking a lot.
Oh yeah, I believe in you, Boris. You got this.
One day.
One day.
Boris, I feel like if Boris actually applied himself, he could be one of the best PvMers. The problem is he does not do anything. Instead, he makes these abominations.
I can't grind.
Yeah, because I feel like you have a good understanding of Java. I'm not sure if I can translate to like more of an understanding of like how the game works. Because I've seen some of the stuff that people have said, like Summit. I've seen some of the stuff that Deo said. Their understanding of the game is insane. I'm not sure if it's because of like translating knowledge of code to the game to understand. Like,
I'd say it helps. I'd say it helps a little bit when
Okay.
you kind of understand kind of behind the scenes of like how the game runs. It does help a bit. I wouldn't say it helps massively. I wouldn't.
Okay.
I'd say it more so helps with problem solving of like this mechanic happens. Why exactly does this mechanic happen? It kind of helps with like that process. You can't go like, okay, I know that a tick happens every 0.2, so there 2-4. If I click this prayer at this exact tick, then I can do this. Then if I attack the boss, it's not that. It's more so this happens because of this event, so this fires off of this. That means if I do this to kind of deal with it, then it should happen at this. Kind of like an attack happens, it goes for this many ticks. I should be able to theoretically counter it if I do this.
Yeah.
Kind of that kind of thinking.
Yeah, but I mean, as far as how smart like Dio is, like I don't think that has that much to do with his knowledge of code, which is a lot.
Band is good.
I think it's more so, yeah.
Code. He's a wizard.
Yeah.
He's insane. Absolutely.
Yeah,
insane.
and then you got other people too, which I don't know if Port does any coding, but that dude is a genius too. When it comes to
I've had him on the podcast, and yeah, it was honestly one of the, I learned so much from him. Like early in the stream, I did high-risk ToA, and I unveiled some tech because he showed me an item, and I was like, I can actually put this to use, which was to outlive everyone else at P1 Warden, and that was it.
Yeah, I mean, there's just some people at this game that are just incredibly smart. Complete 180 of the people we talked about earlier.
People in tech support.
The tech support people. Complete 180 from those people. Complete 180 from Reddit.
Listen, I'm not trying to get killed by Reddit, okay? Anyway,
Complete 180 of Rolks.
Let's move on to the next question now. So,
All right.
we have a big piece of content. ToA. I'm not gonna talk about next because I feel like I've beaten a dead horse with next. Okay, I feel. What the fuck? Okay. Anyway, sorry. The smoke alarm thing scared the shit out of me. Anyway, what's your guys' thoughts about ToA? And as you guys are plugin makers, like, what do you think is there anything else that's going to come out of like ToA plugins at all, or is it just gonna, be where it's at right now?
I think where it's at right now is probably about the most. There's a few things, like I think I saw someone was working on a like point tracker.
Yeah.
Kind of like Chambers ish. So
Yeah, but that's nothing as far as like stuff that helps you during ToA though.
As far as what helps you during, I don't really think there's much more because like anything you could add to ToA, which I feel like is the nice part of ToA, is to anything that you could add would be like the broken like tick timers AoE. I feel like there's not a lot of. It's not a very plugin dependent raid, which is kind of nice. It's everything
which I love.
It's like Chambers. It's like Chambers.
Yeah, exactly.
It's everything works on its own merits more than you need a plugin to make it feel good or make it kind of work as it's supposed to.
Yeah, I think honestly the best ToA specific plugin, I should specify that ToA specific is I forgot the exact name of it, but the bean load plugin where he has the salt timer now. I think that's probably the best one.
It's really good.
As far as like not being too intrusive as well, because like obviously you could say the ToA one by Lemon Duck is the best one because it has the puzzle solvers and all that. But I think really all you need is just the basic core plugins, and then just a timer. It doesn't have to be like the one from Beanload, just the regular RuneLite one for the salt, and that's perfect. My only complaint, I guess, would be like if somebody could take the Aka, what's that called? Hourglass. The hourglass is right above the shadows, and just make that in a more visible spot, so you don't have to scroll out to Narnia to see that.
That's fair. I guess that would be completely fair.
Which somebody might make that. I mean, that technically would not be against the rules because it's already something that's visible. You're just putting it in a more visible spot.
Putting in numbers.
But I mean, the thing with ToA plugins is really the stuff that's broken for ToA isn't specific to ToA. It's like the radius markers and the visual metronome and that kind of stuff. I think if clients were still a thing, you would probably see like some Zevik wave helper thing.
Yep.
You'd probably see tick timers on the Aka puzzle. You'd probably see tick timers on the bosses too. I'm sure somebody like Kyle probably would have added some stupid Guitar Hero shit to their ToA plugin. There probably would be some Warden helpers. Probably some like
Something for
some
Insanity.
cheap clients are. What was that?
Something for Insanity.
There'd definitely be
something
trackers for
for
where the
Insanity.
Warden's gonna hit next.
Yep.
Same with like
Yeah.
Warden specials. Like there'd be highlights for like the lightning skulls. There'd be highlights for like the rotating floor.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I don't know how, or I can't think of a way that would make the Aka like white balls better.
That really isn't. They're so
There really
fat.
isn't a good way to
even
make that better.
You could maybe hide the ones on the outside, like the ones that are kind of like close together. So you can maybe like.
Oh yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Or
could
the
do
ones
that.
not in the same quadrant as you. Something like that.
Yeah, you could do something like that.
I think probably it would just
could
be
be
like
kind of really, really solved. Like the maze would be everything shows up, and then for Kepri it'd be like all the fireball AOE's. Although actually it wouldn't even be that crazy. The fireball AOE's would probably be the only thing Kepri would really, and like a tick timer for that. That's really, but you couldn't really do that crazy much afterwards.
Isn't the fireball attack on its own an AOE though?
it is, and you can actually see the.
Yeah, you can already.
Sure, it's
yeah.
probably a graphics object.
of where it's going to land. So like you wouldn't even need anything for that and that's exactly what I hope Jagex does in the future is they design content like that to where you don't need a plugin because the game gives you
all the information.
indicators but also makes you think.
The worst is when they throw in like, okay, so I think P2 is probably one of the most well designed fights. It gives you the only complaint I'd say is the shadow ball versus the skulls and the fact that skulls can go under the boss. But outside of that, it provides you with animation information, audio information, perfectly to know where stuff is going to be and what to do.
Yes.
Meanwhile, P3 gets so clouded near the end in Enrage. It gets so cloudy to know like, oh, so Zebak is like, you can barely hear the attack for Zebak because of the lightning and all the other stuff. And then on top of visual indicators, so much stuff are using like the shadow. Like the Baba Boulders is using the shadow, the lightning bolts are using the shadow. It's hard to like figure out what's what.
Not to mention, at like the end of P3, right before P4, so when you have like both like Zebek and Baba out, if you're running like a larger size, if you're running like anywhere from 4 to 8, you've got so many people on a line with overhead prayers that it's so hard to see like if a rock's being dropped on you.
Exactly.
You just kind of know.
So
you
hard.
have to know timing wise rather than actually visual what you're doing.
That's why I like smaller scales too, is I feel like it's depends on the content, right? But smaller scales is a little bit more challenging typically, and it doesn't get as crowded, so there's not as many.
Chaotic.
Yeah, it's not as chaotic. Although that means generally you don't get as many good clips.
True, you don't get.
But I mean, as far as how it is right now, I think if literally just you didn't have the Kefri puzzle plugin, I think it's probably pretty much perfect.
Okay. So, what is your guys' thoughts on ToA though? Like, are you happy with the content, or were there some things that you really wish were different?
Honestly, I had a ton. I will say, for all like any like flack anyone's given over like the past like little over a month, any like comments anyone's said, I've had a lot of fun. Like on release, all I did was just run ToA for like a solid 2-3 weeks constantly.
I think for me,
where'd I unplug my mic? Anyway, yeah, no, I accidentally pulled my mic out. We don't. But no, I had a ton of fun with ToA, and I really enjoyed it. And I feel like I know a lot of people have their mixed opinions about it, but I would say as a content as itself, I had a lot of fun, and I do like it as a whole. There's some things here and there, like I for like the Akka Light Maze, I liked how it was before, where you click the tick after, like as the light comes out, you would tick it, as opposed to now where you have to predictive click it. I liked it better before, where it was reactive, not predictive. So there's a couple small things here and there that are kind of like just a little annoying, but as a whole, I think it's great.
As far as me, I think I like ToA, but naturally there's a few complaints that I have, and one is what you said, that the sounds, right? Like I feel like Jagex with some content, not all, but some, they like to overload it with sounds, and a lot of them are pretty pointless and really loud. And I feel like the lightning is one of them. The shadows, that's another. Zarpus in hard mode top, that was like one of the first QOL things I added was muting that
muting the hard mode.
Yeah, because it was just a blanket of acid, and they just like stacked with each other, so it was like just blasting your ears.
It was not good.
No. But I feel like they should have made it where the higher invocation, like you have to have X amount of raid level to unlock X invocation. You know what I mean? And then that actually changes the mechanic of the boss rather than just a like speed increment. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like a smaller AoE for like, for Zebek. Stuff like that.
There's just so many things that people can come up with to make fights more interesting, or you can like really turn a fight like 180 it completely. So it's still like the same boss, but it's just you have a much more different way of approaching it. There's also things that could have made it more dynamic instead of just being like the same thing over and over again. Because like a lot of people said, most stuff is pretty much solved. There's like some things that are a little bit different, but Phase 2 Warden's gonna play out basically the same every time. The only difference is like lightning bombs. Lightning bombs are probably the most threatening attack. But like P3 Warden plays out nearly exactly the same. There's not really much things that change.
Pretty much every time. It's almost like going through the motions. And like Insanity, I mean, you could just stand on the back rows and just react to where it's going, and then you're just in cycle again.
Yeah, like if you forget where it's supposed to be.
Yeah, so P3 is kind of brain dead, but as you said, P2 is great. Speaking of those lightning, I've been got by that so many times when they drop right next to the obelisk and you can't see it.
Yep.
And then you just get stacked with that and a auto.
That's why I've been I started turning off the one that turns off your prayer and does more damage, because that way you have a much lower chance of getting one banged, and it's more chill that way.
Oh yeah.
I've
been clapped by that combo so many times where you just get
combo.
on release. There were so many times where like I just wasn't paying attention to the floor, and like the floor trap would go out, like the rotating floor, and I'd happen to be in line to where the first one would be on top of me. You get hit by that, your prayer gets taken off, you get hit by an auto for like 30 something, and you're just like, well, that's it, I'm dead.
You pretty much have to sit at 100 HP to live.
Yep. I think the worst thing with ToA though is I feel like the scaling feels weird. Like, I'll use Akka as an example. His white ball phase. It feels like there is an exponential amount more balls in a duo than there is a solo.
Really?
And it doesn't. Yeah, and it doesn't scale linearly from duo and up.
I didn't ever notice those. Does anyone else notice that?
It does kind of make sense, because I feel like it has been. I feel like in solos, for the most part, I'm usually not running around like an idiot. But in larger teams, I feel like I'm just running around like I have no brain, and I'm just like, oh no, where am I going?
Pretty much.
There's orbs everywhere. I'm basically like clicking, and then just going like, screw it, I'm going diagonal through the center and hope I don't get hit.
No, I don't know. Maybe that's just
could
something
be placebo.
Yeah, it could be placebo. It could be. But I mean, for me personally, it feels like duo to 4 like is usually somewhere around the same amount of. Well, I'm not there sitting there, counting 1, 2, 3, 4, but yeah.
I feel like for me, for ToA, I feel like for anything like 300 or 350 and under, duo is probably my favorite. I feel like for over that though, like 400 plus ish, teams start getting more fun just because it's more reliable. As like in a duo, if you're like 400, 450. If your duo dies early, you're basically doomed. Like, it's like, yeah, that's it. It's over. Run's done. So there's a lot more forgiveness with like a 4-man and like 400, 450 as opposed to a duo. But yeah, but the nice thing is they do make it where it's like, because of the increased chaoticness, it's not like doing an 8-man is a free, easy carry. Everyone's got to pull their weight, and it does get harder as per people you add.
I think Baba is probably one of the scariest rooms in the bigger teams.
God!
It's not when people die. When people die and boulders are uneven, good luck.
The uneven boulders is such a good mechanic, but it's so rough.
It's punishing as hell.
My favorite, and Draco hates this, is last night we were trying to PK Draco by running to him at Zebek and trying to perfectly time the
oh my god, the blood barrage.
Yes, and I got him one time, and he started bringing a yellow Karis to 400s just so he wouldn't die from that. Whenever he saw us run by, he would put on his yellow Karis and do the spec.
That is drive-by blood barrage. You're right, you know what?
Hold on, it wasn't
Peak-
just me. It was also
peak
Picnic
rat
and
behavior.
Jackster too. So,
You started a movement to get him killed. Okay.
well, no, that started at hard mode top. That wasn't me.
Fair enough. Fair enough.
Oh yeah, or the boulders at Baba when like you think your team's about to, you're like, surely they're gonna hit it with me, and
Oh,
someone
actually,
doesn't
no,
hit
sorry.
it, so it
Jackster
doesn't
didn't
die.
try to blood barrage me. He was healing us to kill him. He was just making sure we had enough HP.
Wow. Okay.
No, he was just helping us stay alive, you know?
Help with the boys.
So he's an accomplice, is what I'm hearing. Damn.
Some might call
Understandable.
it that, but honestly, he was just lending a helping hand. That's it.
It's Rattenborough stuff, dude. Rattenborough level stuff. And I thought Piers was Rattenborough. Jackson might be taking that title pretty soon.
Jackster's just a little hog pug.
Where's Hemi when you need him, bro? He'd probably be loving this.
Hemi?
Yeah. So,
My favorite is when Hemi fucks up and Toy yells Hemi.
Hemi! Yeah, but, I just feel like there's still so much you can do with it. I've said it so many times. I'd rather them do things now than later in the future when I feel like they're going to use it as there's a content drought, so let's make a couple of invocations to kind of just bide some time while we're not making anything.
Oh yeah.
I'd rather them, while the content is at its like peak, add more stuff because it really will spice things up in the coming days, in the coming weeks.
Yeah, and it is more annoying for people for constantly updating, right, or making changes to a content.
Yeah.
But it's better they do it now, right away, than it is to make changes way later after it's already been released for, let's say, a year.
Yeah.
Right. It's just much easier. I'd rather take a constant flow of balancing changes and other changes to the content over the course of like a month or two than wait a year and then they decide to balance it.
Yeah, I mean, because like, look at the state of Chambers. Like, Chambers is like in a really good spot, but it's years and years and years of changes instead of it being that constant stream flow. I know maybe some stuff wasn't possible, maybe because of Spaghetti Code engine work. If that's the case, then okay, fair. But I feel like there's just still so much room for them to add like new invocations or 2 wardens.
Yeah.
Oh, both wardens at the same time.
Yeah, for P2,
And,
that would just be stellar.
When they do add that, I can't wait for noob type to clear it.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Any 800 clearers?
Yeah.
I
That'll
like
be noob
the
type.
I like the
I would
idea.
put money on that. That noob type would be the first one to clear it.
Probably because like I don't feel like there's a lot of people that are really attempting it. Like, how many 600 clears are there? I think, is it just the one still? Does anyone really attempt a 600 or no?
Has Lake done it? I know Lake did a 575.
He did 575. I don't know he did a 600 though.
I feel like it's one of those things where it's almost kind of like
Ruru
solo
did
Oh,
it?
top.
Ruru did
Ruru
it.
did it. Okay.
I feel like it's almost kind of like solo tub where most people are more scared off than the idea to actually attempt it. Like just like watching people do it, it looks threatening to where most people won't even attempt to do higher invocation. Like the really high like 600 plus ones. But I think it's nice. I would say a game always needs to have that absolute peak upper like something to work towards. Like I'm 100% fine with them putting some absolutely like busted invocations because it has like there's always something you can work towards getting better to do.
Exactly.
And that's the nice thing about ToA is it does have. Is it perfect? No. Is it potentially being workshopped to where it can get even better over the years? I feel like it's in a good spot for to where give it time, give it more invocations over time, like other things like fix what you need to get like the core solid, and then you can add even more so it can last even longer.
Yeah.
And yeah, and they could potentially go kind of wild with the invocations, and they could throw some even really weird things out in the future.
Like, I could feel like they could do something dumb like Crocs coming out of the water during Zebak. Just biting your ass.
Kind of like the tree.
Yeah.
The tree
Crocs
just
coming
grows
out
in
of
the
the water,
center, and
bro.
you gotta. The tree. Oh, I got it. The tree grows out in the center. You gotta shoot jugs into the tree in the center.
What? Oh my god.
God.
That would be.
God,
Imagine if that was your cover is the tree. So when it does a roar, you have to like water the tree, and if you don't water the tree, then you die.
If you haven't grown the tree, it can't block it. Okay.
Oh my god, what is chat think? Do you think that'd be something wild and crazy? You'd want to do something like that, or no? Like we're just spitballing some crazy ideas. But
you could have like Baba boulders drop bananas as they go past.
Oh god.
So you only have your path to go down.
People said that's some crackhead shit. I'm pretty sure people would love to see like only if it. God dang it! They want rave tree.
I think it all
just the tree of rave.
Oh god! I think really
shoot off beams of light.
The main thing is the higher invocations don't change how the rate is that much. You know, like it does change it, but it doesn't change it that much to keep it interesting long term of doing the higher invocations.
I'd say probably the invocation that changes a room the most is probably Keep Back at Akka. It's like one of the few ones that like drastically changes how you have to approach the room.
I wouldn't say drastically.
It does change it quite a bit. You gotta flinch it back.
Double trouble plus
double trouble is
double trouble plus feeling special. It like changes it a lot.
Oh yeah.
Keep back is annoying. No one likes keep back. Everyone hates it.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's fun. I mean, I hate it too, but it's one of the ones that does actually like change quite a bit how you have to approach the fight, as opposed to like most of the Baba ones.
Just said double trouble medic.
Yeah, as opposed to like where most of the Baba ones is just, hey, this fight has a couple extra things, like the boulders go faster, the monkeys drop bananas. Like it's not anything massive. It's just like here's one little minor hazard.
Could have easily thrown the monkeys from the previous room and put them in Baba. Missed opportunity.
Oh god, no! Don't give me more monkeys. I don't want more monkeys.
I felt like that was a missed opportunity to have that. So I don't know why.
It could be interesting if the monkeys that spawn didn't die from the if there was like an invocation that made it so they didn't die from the boulders, and it spawned like one of each type. So rather than just spawning like 3 monkeys, it spawned one mage, one range.
Yeah.
Maybe something even like that. So it's like you actually have to kill them.
You could have the baboons that go for sarcophagus, but have the baboomers, have the shamans.
Ooh,
I was about to say you could
have the boomers and trying to do the boulders too.
I was about to say you could have volatiles drop
in and try. Oh my god, that'd be messed up.
I was gonna say if you had volatiles that spawned and immediately just ran for the sarcophagus, so you had to kill them before they got there.
Yeah, because like most of Baba's and like half of the Baba invos don't really do much. So if they added those baboons, it would actually spice up the fight a bit more.
All of them are just
and you can red exit.
All of the Baba ones are just a slight hazard. Like it's like mind the gap. It just make sure you're outside.
Yeah, but that one's really just
drop. Yeah, it's like
they just drop bananas. Is so free.
Yeah, the sarcophagus explosion and the shadow slam is like it's just a slightly more difficult attack, but for the most part, not really anything that bad. Same with Boulder Dash. It's just slightly faster. It makes it a little harder to like 1 boulder or 2 boulder, but not anything exponential. Not as big of like Akka invocations are probably the biggest changer for any boss.
I don't even think they're that.
I would say the biggest of the bosses.
They just make
it changes the room the most out of all. I would say
it's you know what. The Akka invocations are kind of like hard mode Tob, where it's basically the same thing, it's just slightly more annoying. That's kind of
I guess that's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah.
The hard mode Tob of the run.
Which I guess really that kind of falls under any of the invocations, really, except for Baba, which we already said pretty much does nothing, but they pretty much just make it more annoying. They don't make it really, in terms of difficulty, that much different.
Yeah. I kind of really wanted, when they were like announcing the invocations, I was really hoping for a like trade-off invocation, almost kind of, where it like makes it so like something along the lines of it makes it harder, but it gives you some sort of like benefit. To where something where it's like it's a more difficult fight, but you gain something because of it. I was almost kind of hoping for something like that too.
One idea that's like that is instead of Akka disappearing during the Simon Says attack, you can still attack him, but he's doing attacks.
Yeah.
He's like invulnerable or something?
No, he's invulnerable. Like,
no.
He's doing attacks, and he's still doing attacks while you have to deal with Simon Says. So you have to change your prayers and stuff like that.
So you have to not only protect against him, but also dodge Simon Says, but you can also do DPS while he's doing it. So it's kind of a trade-off of you can do more damage, but it's going to be harder, Simon Says.
That and if you're doing shadows, because like when you have shadows up, it's not the end of the world, but that means you have to hit the shadows and deal with Akka and Simon Says.
Yeah.
But then again, the shadows not really doing anything. It just means like, well, now you feel like, oh crap, so now I have to deal with Akka. So that's a trade-off. Now it's like, if you do have shadows, you're not benefiting as much from it.
Yeah. I like the idea of something like that, where you can some sort of invocation where it's worse, but a trade-off of you could potentially make it better with some effort and could kind of something like that always kind of interests me. As I said, though, the nice thing is about ToA, there's a lot of things they could just throw out of nowhere and make it interesting.
Yeah,
Like they could make Jagex start throwing like tail attacks or something, where it starts launching random like waves or poison splats at different times throughout the fight.
Yeah, I'm really hoping that they, do get crazy with it. I don't think anyone's gonna bat an eye but do some crazy stuff. And if they do, then whatever. Like they don't have to have it turned on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, one of the big complaints everyone had was that there wasn't like enough like big like end game updates for a long time before ToA. So I feel like ToA is the perfect. Hey, you can go nuts. Just add a ton of stuff to it.
But it's also bad too, in the sense of they made it too accessible. They should have locked certain items behind a certain invocation. Because, like, there's no reason why a 0 raid invocation should let you get a shadow.
I mean, the odds are like 1 in 10k or something?
Something like that.
Yeah, but when you're running 1 million, 3 million raids, some people are going to get it.
You mean like how you guys got the pets from entry mode?
Not you guys. My pet luck is atrocious.
Like how you get a pet from 0 invocations. It definitely is.
I thought you both got one, or was it just Boris?
No, it was just
Boris.
Me.
I have, last time I checked, which was before ToA, my pet luck was... Actually, let's pull up the sheet real quick. My pet luck is... Oh, it must have changed. Negative 1,945.
Oof. How many onlets you have?
0.
Oh, okay. That's, not good.
Yeah. I think it was something stupid, like I needed the omelet, All God Wars, Corp, Bloodhound, and I think something else to be positive. And it would have to be like the next KC.
My god.
Yeah.
I don't even know what my luck is. I haven't actually looked at the sheet.
I stopped updating it after a while just because it's
a hassle.
Way, dude. It's a hassle and it's just way too depressing.
That's fair. That's 100% fair. I understand.
Like props to anybody like Coxie and Marnie that can just grind out every content for every single pet, but that is not me.
I mean, that's just what happens when there's no threshold system, because I think RuneScape 3 has a threshold system now, so it's harder to go that dry. I mean, you could still probably go super dry, but not as dry.
Oh, yeah.
Boris is the only one of us that has played RS3, so but
yeah,
he could maybe speak on that.
I mean, it's once you hit a certain threshold, once you hit the pet threshold, it gives you like a 2 in something chance instead of 1 in something. So. Yeah. It's still can you go extremely dry? Oh yeah, you can. But it is a bit more forgiving in the long run of what you can do. I mean, there's a few things there's a few bosses that are even looking at RS3 with like a bad luck mitigation type thing where it's like after you go like a certain amount of like kills with like without getting an item, you get slightly better luck. I don't remember exactly how it works, but there were some things like that. Where it was like, the more you did, if you didn't get lucky, you got an increased chance to actually get lucky. So it wasn't as much just, hey, throw your RNG to the wind and hope you get an item. Yeah, like Rook said, like 11k Hydras.
That's not fun, bro. Like, going super...
Yeah,
that's why I don't play Iron, bro. I don't want to go that dry.
Oh no!
Yeah, no,
I
absolutely
do not. I
not.
have not built the grind like an iron. I cannot do it.
Nah.
So, I'll end it off with this question. You know, we've got a long future ahead of us for this game, but what do you guys want to see in regards to the future? We have Blue Inferno that has already been like spoken about many times.
Inferno 2 Electric Boogaloo.
Yeah, we have a game jam coming around too. That's probably going to preview some stuff. But personally, what do you guys want to see in the future? What do you hope for?
Count security. I mean, I'm just saying what we're all thinking, right? Like,
Jesus.
yeah,
You're not
account
wrong, you're not
security, and then as far as actual content, though, yeah, I think that like Inferno 2 thing under Mount Kourend.
I do like the idea of Inferno 2 quite a bit. It does sound like a lot of fun, and I think I feel like one of the big things is like, sure, like everyone will say like, oh, it's like it was 3-4 years since ToW came out before we got like ToA or anything. Like next Nightmare, can you really say their end game?
Not really.
No,
No.
they're kind of just
Well, Nightmare. I mean, it got to the
Fasani,
point
yeah,
where it
Fasani's
was-
endgame. Just doesn't give
Fasani,
you
yes,
endgame money.
Fasani is the better is how Nightmare should be.
Should've-
I would
Yeah.
say,
100%.
and I feel like it would be nice. Like we've gotten another raid. I feel like an actual genuine like raid boss as just like a single like group boss, but like an end game group boss is one thing we don't really have in old school. Like Nightmare and Nex are like the closest we have to
I
a
guess Corp, right?
Corp kind of, but not really. I mean,
You just
feel
want
like
a
you
warden
can't
fight
really
on
say
its
that.
own is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
Type thing, yeah.
I feel like the
Doesn't,
next like thing after the Inferno 2, I feel like if they're gonna go for something, I feel like just a raid boss itself.
Aren't there a couple bosses in
probably a
RS3
good
like
one.
that?
Oh, there's tons of them. There's like
Um,
Solak, there's Virago, there's Nex AOD, there's
Yeah. They have some raid activities now, like they have the Mass Cab raid, and then Elite Dungeons are basically kind of like their own type of raid too.
They're kind of like MMO raids where it's like you go through
Yeah.
like trash mob clears, mini boss, trash mob clears, mini boss, trash mob final boss kind of deal.
Yeah, so it's like more of a actual raid.
Yeah. I feel like I would like to see more I feel like the raids, the Infernos, so like wave-based content, actual like raid-based content, and then just like a boss encounter are kind of the three kind of areas of PvM that usually a game kind of has.
Yeah.
And I feel like I guess just more. It's kind of hard to say. I feel like the Inferno is meant to be like the new Inferno is meant to be like a end game thing. Like it's meant to be like the first set of waves was like you can beat Jad. The second set was like you can beat Zuck, and the third set of waves was like this is going to be hard.
Yeah.
So I feel like that will definitely be good.
I'm really looking forward to it.
No, I think it actually should be so much fun. Like I'm not someone who enjoys the long waves of fight caves in
I
Inferno.
didn't really enjoy
too
it that much. I mean, Inferno speedruns kind of make it a little bit more bearable, but before then, like having to sit through it for like
Like a
over an
first
hour?
cape kind of deal.
I hate it, bro. I hate it.
Like I understand and respect why the Inferno is good. It is good content.
It is.
It's personally just not for me how long it is. But
Yeah.
I feel like the shorter, condensed, more intense kind of in a shorter time of the Inferno 2 would be a lot more fun. Just personally to me.
It's kind of what I like about CG Gauntlet, you know? Something you can kind of do in your like downtime waiting for your boys, just kind of quick gauntlet run.
Oh god, Invocation
And
Gauntlet. Oh.
Let's not get crazy here, okay? We don't need an Invocation Gauntlet, okay?
How about an invocation that makes you actually hit?
Yeah, let's do that. Invocation lets you hit. But regardless, it's something that isn't like... I think it's a very, very hard activity. I'd probably put it like one of the hardest pieces of content in the game. Obviously, Inferno is the king, but I probably put like... Gauntlet, CG, probably somewhere like maybe 3rd place, 2nd place. I don't know.
I'd say if anyone
As far
wants
as
to
speedrunning?
As far as like speedrunning and maybe mastery too, because mastering Gauntlet, like Money Gauntlet, is not easy either.
I'd say if you want to learn movement, I say Gauntlet is one of the best things you can do. If you want to learn just like movement and getting used to being more efficient with ticks, I would say Gauntlet is one of the best because it's no input, it is free to do, and it's short, it's self-contained, but the boss is all purely movement, tracking, and kind of dealing with on the fly. And I would say it's probably one of the best things. Like if someone wants to say how do they get better at bossing, I'll usually recommend go do Gauntlet.
Yeah, because it's something that like a lot of people usually have access to. My only complaint about it is you can't fucking hit the boss. 20% chance of getting like a sub 3 or something. And fucking
It's
blows.
so bad.
Like, why don't they just change the HP, lower the defense? Why is it always 60% chance of hitting the boss? Hello? I'm literally fucking fisting a brick wall. That doesn't feel good, bro. It's not soft. It's hard. My hand is broken. I said construction and break my hand already.
It's so bad. And I didn't know how much went into Gauntlet until I read Tech's giant channel in Obliv.
It's a lot.
Of like,
it's a lot.
Yeah, there's so much that goes into it.
I will say nothing will beat release Gauntlet in terms of just absolutely just rough content.
I have a clip from long ago back, because I did streams like super long ago, hella inconsistent. But on the release week of Gauntlet, I did a stream. I'm in normal Gauntlet, and we may or may not have made a misclick. It screamed incredibly loud through my headset, and then it like quietly in the background you can hear me like beating the crap out of a pillow because of how pissed I was.
Yeah.
Dude, I will say the best time of release Gauntlet. This guy right here is the most infuriated I have seen him at a video game because of his corrupt Gauntlet experience.
God.
Walk in, complete 50-50, take a 60 off prayer because it happened to use the one you weren't praying against, hitting like mid-teens through prayer.
Oh yeah, 'cause that's right, it didn't do range prayer right.
It wasn't range, it was
That and
random.
the fact that it did 50% damage through prayer.
Oh yeah.
That too, yeah.
I don't know what it legit felt like a coin flip. Like, it felt like a coin flip fighting it. I don't know.
No, it was. You could get a full inventory of food, tier 2 armor, tier 3 weapons, potentially one piece of tier 3 armor, and it was still, yeah, you throw it up a chance. You might get the kill count, it might die, maybe not. Who knows? We'll find out in 5 minutes.
I think the reason why Boris had so much fun with Corrupt Gauntlet too is this dude is a spoon at Corrupt Gauntlet. A spoon, like Doodash level spoon.
Wow.
I think I completed Gauntlet at 63 normals and 9 corrupteds.
What?
So
Like the entire log, yeah.
The entire log. The pet was second day of release. 50 normals and 9 corrupteds from a normal. And then I think the blade was I just randomly did like 3 gauntlets one night.
Can I say what everyone's faking real quick?
Go ahead.
You lucky bastard. There we go.
It's alright. The one thing I've known with my account is my pet luck is insane. My item luck is horrible.
Oh my god, he's so unlucky at chambers. In his KC, which I don't even know what it is, he makes less at chambers than he does at giant mole.
What?
Yes.
Repeat that?
He makes less at chambers than he does at giant mole.
Okay.
Yep.
I think it evens out then. I think it evens out. That is how it is. Like, you gotta lose the RNG somewhere, you know?
Yeah, and it could
the
turn
universe
around.
has balance.
Yeah, and it could turn around.
Balance
he could pull
as
3
all
T-bows
things
back to
should
back.
be.
Like, oh yeah, Boris did make bank at mole today, picking up the hog's unnoted mole skin and claws.
Oh yeah.
There. Okay, we did it. Balance.
Balance is all things.
As all things.
There we go.
That was a pain in the ass trying to set that up. Alright, but is there anything else you guys want to, see in the future in regards to the game, outside of account security, and then anything else?
Honestly, I feel like I feel like for all of this shit anybody gives, like Jagex and everything, I feel like they tend to actually
Have
be
the-
like on the right track.
It's
I
just
feel
the
like with like
implementation that's
I feel like
off.
it's usually a numbers game on like a release of things. Like it's usually like
Yeah.
the numbers are just slightly off. Like either like it's slightly too hard, or the drop rates are slightly off, or something like that. But I feel like they're usually on the right track, and I'm hopeful for the future. I think there will be more good stuff.
I think for me, I'm kind of hoping that clients do not make a rebound, and I feel like Jagex kind of moves towards going towards a universal client that like everybody uses that has just
Yeah.
the bare minimum, and then I hope they just design content in the future that people don't feel the need to make a plugin for.
Let's get more count to 3 stuff. I'm ready.
100%.
Yeah. Well, at least they're counteracting that, right? By adding animations, right? So it's not just counting.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
like the biggest
Hydra
thing,
and
like
Gauntlet.
CG helps so much because now it's like I don't really need to use the perp 3-2-1 thingy because you just go off the animation. It's just tracking your own
Yeah.
attacks now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No, the
and then,
animations to like Hydra and to Gauntlet were very nice. Very nice indeed.
Yeah, and like Rogues was saying, people are always gonna find a way to cheat. It's the unfortunate part of every single game, though.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like they are going in the right direction of minimizing it, and I hope that they continue that way.
Fingers crossed.
They basically just need to keep on. They basically just need to keep on top of it. They've set a precedence now where they
Yep,
actually
they
will
set
follow
boundaries.
through.
They just gotta follow it.
At this point, if they just follow through with it, I think less stuff, the better. I think they'll make them focus more on
Designing
making
better
content. They'll basically make them more on versatile content that isn't, hey, count to 3, there you go. It's going to switch attacks. I feel like it'll be better overall for the future, and it should actually be pretty.
All right. Well, I think that about wraps it up. Or wraps it up. Not rats. Jesus.
Rats it up.
But if there's
Get Draco in here. Get
okay,
the rats.
relax. Okay. If there is any last things you do want to say, it can be anything. Feel free to say it. So, anything?
Yeah, it pretty much said everything, man.
All right.
I guess. Yeah, I mean, you already have a video on how to get our plugins. Don't feel like I need to specify that. Go watch Sido's YouTube. Sub to his Twitch.
The things and the such with the stuff, especially
making
that.
me plug my own stuff, dude. I can't be asked. Is there
We got you. Don't worry.
anything you want me to plug? Because I know Kourend has a Twitter, but I don't know if he really uses it, or maybe
I haven't used. I think the last thing I posted was a pet I got like a year ago. No worries.
should I maybe plug your plugin server? Question mark.
Sure. If anybody has our plugins and they have any questions on it or they want to recommend it, they can always go to our Discord. It's open to anybody. It's all RuneLite plugins specific. I'd like to say it again. I've said it a bunch of times. We're not affiliated with cheat clients at all anymore.
In response to any federal entity investigating this conversation, we are pure good boys. At least allowed clients and everything. We are not doing anything.
You heard it here, folks. They are not doing bad things, like I said in the tweet.
Purely moral.
Like an idiot.
Oh,
when I was
God.
like, well, what did I say again in that tweet? I forgot. It was like they currently work on a client or something.
Yeah, it was
Yeah.
some wording, and I was like, "Oh, please, God, don't."
Yeah,
it's like, please don't give the wrong impression. Oh yeah, DM null #6666 for help.
All right, guys. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this podcast. This one was more of an interesting take because, as you all know, this was more about like plugins. You know, there was still some talk about PvM and its effect on PvM, but either way, I think it's still important to talk about how plugins affect the game. So I really do hope that you all enjoyed the episode. And on that note, I'm going to end the recording. I'm not going to end the stream just yet, but I'm going to end the recording. So thank you everybody for watching, and until the next episode. Oh, before I end the recording, maybe I should announce who the next guests are. So I do have some bad news. This is going to be a pre-recorded episode, and I'm going to stream it live. So when when I'm done with it, I'm gonna stream it live. I don't want to get too big into why, but I'll announce the next 3 guests. So it's gonna be 3 guests, okay? They're well-known people in the Fight Caves and Inferno community. T-Bach, Stooge, and Cancer. So that's gonna be our next guests for PvMer Spotlight. So I'm hoping you guys look forward to that one. It's gonna be hilarious, but like I said, it's gonna be pre-recorded, or just to make sure that everything is family friendly. So yeah, I'm gonna now end the recording. So thank you all for tuning into this episode. I'll see you guys next time. All right, I love you all.